Chapter 3492. It seemed like there was no danger here, and Zhang Liju didn't set any traps. Heaven's Path Golden Pill. These 4 words were inscribed on the box. Lin Yi took a deep breath, picked up the box, and carefully opened it. Inside the box was a small scroll. It did not disappoint Lin Yi, but it did not surprise Lin Yi either. Lin Yi was fantasizing about how great it would be if there was a completed Heavenly Path Golden Pill in the box. But there was nothing inside. It seemed like there was only a pill recipe. Lin Yi carefully opened the box, took out the pill recipe, and slowly unfolded it. Simplified Heaven's Path Golden Core. Inside the scroll there were a few big words. Lin Yi continued to read and saw that it continued to say, "The Heavenly Tao is heartless, and the Heavenly Tao is heartless, treating all living things as straw dogs. No matter how the world changed, the Tao would not change. This Tao was the Heavenly Tao. But heaven rewards the diligent." After reading through some complicated introductions, Lin Yi had a vague understanding of the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao was a kind of struggle against the heavens. Under the Heavenly Tao, it was a struggle against oneself and others. However, above the Heavenly Tao, it was more like immortal cultivation. It had already transcended the scope of body refining. Once he stepped onto the Heavenly Tao, it was the beginning of the path of cultivation. His strength and lifespan would be incomparable to his current state. Of course, this was just a description of the passage. Lin Yi wasn't too sure what it actually looked like. Below that was Zhang Liju's notes, and the gist of it was that Zhang Liju copied the recipe from the records of strange tales, but it was a mystic level 1 recipe, and he couldn't make it at all. However, after a long period of research, he simplified the pill formula into a simplified version of the Heaven's Path Golden Pill. The effects of this Heaven's Path Golden Pill were no longer as powerful as the original Heaven's Path Golden Pill. It was said that it was a genuine Heaven's Path Golden Core. On the other hand, the simplified version of the Heaven's Path Golden Pill was only effective for a single period of time. However, the simplified version of the Heaven's Path Golden Pill could only be refined by a 4th-tier apothecary. A 4th-grade medicinal pill? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback. He could really give it a try. With Han Jingjing's alchemy artifact in hand, as well as the inexhaustible physical strength and true qi, a 4th-grade medicinal pill should be able to be refined successfully. At this point, Lin Yi began to look at the simplified Heaven's Path Golden Pill formula. Morning dragon grass, heaven herb root, bitter fruit, heart-devouring exquisite grass, chai flower leaf. There weren't many materials, only 5 in total. However, they were all herbs that Lin Yi had never heard of. Even with Lin Yi's vast knowledge of herbs, he had never heard of these things. This made Lin Yi slightly nervous. Could it be those rare herbs that were not easy to get? Next up was the method to refine the pill. However, Lin Yi hadn't even prepared the herbs yet, so there was no point in looking at the refining method. At this point, Lin Yi put the formula into the jade space and left Zhang Liju's tomb. He returned to Donghai City and went straight to Boss Bai's place. Lin Yi didn't know about the herbs on the formula, but as a former top-level apothecary, Boss Bai should be familiar with it. He should have some understanding of it, so he decided to ask for some guidance. Boss Bai was a bit surprised at Lin Yi's sudden visit, but after Lin Yi told him why he was here, he nodded. "You got the formula? Let me see the herbs on it." Okay, Lin Yi quickly took out the formula, and Boss Bai took it and studied it carefully. After a while, Lin Yi saw that Boss Bai wasn't talking, so he asked, "How is it, Master Bai? Can you get these ingredients?" "Some, but most don't. Dragon dawn grass and Chai Ming flower leaf are very rare, but they can be obtained. I've heard of the sky herb root, but I've never heard of the heart-devouring exquisite grass and bitter fruit. This formula of yours isn't easy to get." Boss Bai said directly, "I advise you not to put too much hope in it. After all, some of the ingredients from back then might be extinct now, or should I say, this ingredient was already extinct back then, and who knows where Master Zhang Liju got his hands on it." "I see." Lin Yi was a bit disappointed. "That means I can't refine it?" "It's hard to say, but I don't recommend you spend your energy on this." Boss Bai said, "You can use it as a backup, but you should focus on the sky class test, right?" "I understand." Lin Yi nodded and put away the formula. Although he was still a bit unwilling, he knew that Boss Bai hadn't heard of it before, and asking others was useless. Now, only old Lin was left. If even old Lin didn't know, then Lin Yi would really have to give up. With that thought, Lin Yi didn't linger any longer. He said goodbye to Boss Bai and returned to his home in Donghai. Wang Xinyan was probably at school, and Han Jingjing wasn't at home, either. Lin Yi, on the other hand, called old Lin first. He needed to figure out if he could get the ingredients for the Sky Path Golden Pill. What disappointed Lin Yi, however, was that old Lin's knowledge of these uncommon herbs was more or less the same as Boss Bai's. He'd never even heard of the Heart Devourer exquisite grass and bitter fruit. These two things were probably extinct, or in other words, with Lin Yi's current knowledge, he didn't know where to find them. Helpless, Lin Yi could only give up, because Lin Yi's time was limited, and the Sky Class test was about to begin. On this day, the Five Elements sect made an announcement to all the aristocratic families, sects, and ancient sects. The Sky Class test had officially begun. All the participants who were qualified to participate in the test, please go to the Five Elements sect within 5 days after receiving the notice, no delay. Lin Yi drove Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing to the Five Elements sect in the jeep, and Han Jingjing completely handed over the cauldron business in the mortal world to Fatty Lai and Kong Xiaobo. Anyway, the production technology for the first and second level cauldrons was already mature, and Han Jingjing didn't plan to introduce higher level cauldrons. Han Jingjing never planned to take over the third level elixir market. At the same time, the participants from the other ancient sects who were qualified to participate in the test, as well as the independent cultivators who had the map of the Sky Class Island, all moved to the Five Elements sect. In the Five Elements sect, Elder Xianxia was secretly discussing with Kong Ming about the test. Chapter 3493. The main purpose of this trial is to let the inheritors of the 5 elements and 7 attributes head to the cave of the 5 evils dragon in the 5 evils wilderness to receive the final inheritance blessing, strengthen their attributes, and prepare for the opening of the Heaven Island. Patriarch Xianxia said, as for the other trial takers, in order to protect their safety, lure out the 5 evils dragon to deal with it, and create time for the inheritors. This can be considered a test for the trial takers. If they survive, they will be qualified to participate in the Heaven Rank meeting and the Heaven Island plan. If they are injured, dead, or leave early, they will naturally not be qualified. 5 Evils Dragon? What's that? Kong Ming was slightly taken aback. This 5 Evils Dragon is the king of the spirit beasts in the 5 Evils Wilderness. It is extremely powerful and has the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven Rank. It is considered a top-notch spirit beast, and it is not impossible for it to break through the heavenly Tao. Patriarch Xianxia explained, in the cave of the 5 Evils Dragon, there is the inheritance light of the power of the 5 elements. It can strengthen the attributes of the inheritors of the 5 elements, so that the opening of the Heaven Island will be more perfect. Otherwise, the physiques of the inheritors would be uneven due to some differences. If one of the physiques was weak, it might fail at the last step and affect the other inheritors, causing the opening of the Heavenly Island's entrance to fail. Therefore, in order to let this matter proceed smoothly, we must send the trial takers to restrain the 5 Evils Dragon and let the inheritors receive the inheritance blessing. Oh then, we won't be able to determine who's going to do more or less. If one of the trial takers hides at the back and doesn't do anything, then they'll be able to get away with it. Kong Xiaoming didn't understand. Indeed, but in order to prevent this from happening and protect the safety of the inheritors, I originally wanted Little One to be the supervisor of the trial. However, there was no news of him later, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. I wanted Little Two to go with you and let him secretly act as a recorder. Record the entire process and I will use it to evaluate the score. Patriarch Xianxia said, however, now that there have been a series of accidents, I have changed my mind. I plan to personally supervise the battle. Father-in-law, I have a good idea. Kong Xiaoming said, actually, the people who are participating in the Sky Class Assembly are all different. What did it matter if there was one more or one less? Let's all go together when the Heavenly Island opens. We won't lose anything anyway. That being said, it's still very difficult to open the Heaven Stage Island. It's not fixed. It might be long or short. What if so many people don't have enough time to pass? Patriarch Xianxia shook his head and said, the current situation is still unknown. Moreover, after reaching the Heavenly Stage Island, will the resources there be limited? If limited, the more people there are, the more they will snatch, and the less everyone will get. This is what I've been worried about. If that's the case. Kong Ming was a little embarrassed after hearing it. However, at that time, we can study the rules at the Heaven Rank meeting. Whoever passes it first will pass it later. After going to the Heavenly Island, how would the resources be distributed? Rumor has it that the Heavenly Island emissary will come into contact with me soon, but this is only a rumor. It's hard to say whether there is such an emissary. If there is, I can figure out the situation on the Heavenly Island. Everyone can go, but the resources are really limited. Then we can only restrict some people. Father-in-law, actually, this is what I'm thinking. This time, the inheritors are going to receive the last blessing of the inheritance, right? These inheritors are Lin Yi's girlfriends. With Lin Yi's infatuated personality, he definitely won't let his women suffer losses. At that time, we can let everyone hide and let Lin Yi face the Dragon of Five Evils alone. If Lin Yi can restrain the Dragon of Five Evils by himself, it'll be even better. If Lin Yi can't restrain the Dragon of Five Evils and is killed by the Dragon of Five Evils, it'll be even better. We'll have gotten rid of a big threat. When the time comes, we'll wait for Lin Yi to die and restrain the Dragon of Five Evils. Well, you're right. This is a good idea. We can make use of it. Why didn't I think of it before? Ancestor Xianxia was immediately delighted. Yes, using the relationship between Lin Yi and the inheritors to send Lin Yi to his death. Only a small person like Kong Mingming could come up with such a bad idea. He patted Kong Mingming's shoulder and said, "Yes, it's naturally the best if we can get rid of Lin Yi. It's a small matter for others, but during the Heavenly Island meeting, won't they have to act according to our five-element sex mood? Who dares to go against me? Without Lin Yi, I'm the #1 person under the way of heaven. What I'm most afraid of is that Lin Yi will snatch resources from us. Not only for himself, but also for his friends and girlfriends. Then what will we have left? As long as we kill Lin Yi, this won't be a problem." "So, father-in-law, you agree with my proposal?" Kong Mingming had a flash of inspiration just now. When he heard Ancestor Xianxia say that everyone would go to restrain the Five Evils Dragon and protect the inheritors, a thought flashed through Kong Mingming's mind. Why should he help Lin Yi protect his girlfriend? Therefore, he came up with such an ultimate bad idea. "Well, when the time comes, you can secretly make a connection. You have the title of my son-in-law, so this kind of thing should be in the bag. You can just hint that it's my idea," Ancestor Xianxia said. "However, you have to be careful. Once Lin Yi dies, you must immediately deal with the Dragon of Five Evils. You must not let it return to the cave. Otherwise, those inheritors will be in danger, and all my efforts will be wasted." "Father-in-law, don't worry," Kong Mingming quickly said. "I will seize this opportunity." "That's good." Ancestor Xianxia nodded. "Remember, during the trial you have to keep a low profile and try to fan the flames. If Lin Yi can successfully escape and is not killed by the Five Evils Dragon, then you must let the people of the Everyday and Everyday sect clash with Lin Yi. Don't do it yourself. You are an alchemist. Even if you have taken the Qi Gathering Pill and advanced to the Great Perfection of Heaven stage, your combat power is still not enough." "Okay, father-in-law, don't worry. I'm not a reckless person. This kind of dirty trick of sowing discord is what I'm best at," Kong Mingming quickly promised. Chapter 3494. Fortunately, Kong Mingming did not die. Otherwise, the 11th would have been widowed. During this time, I have been working overtime to refine Qi Gathering Pills. Not only have I been promoted to the Great Perfection, but my beloved wife, the 11th, has also been promoted to the Great Perfection. I want her to participate in the Heaven Stage trial, and then we will go to the Heaven Stage Island together. I don't want to be separated from her," Kong Mingming said. "Oh!" Patriarch Xianxia could not help but be stunned after hearing this. He did not know about this beforehand. Now that he heard it from Kong Mingming, he was very moved. Although Kong Mingming was a sinister person, he was still very good to the 11th. Previously, he had vaguely heard some rumors about Little Peach. He felt that Kong Mingming was really a heartless person. However, Xianxia was also such a person, so he did not say much. However, he still felt some regret in his heart. After all, the 11th was his daughter. Now that he heard that Kong Mingming was really good to the 11th, he could not help but be very happy. He said, "Well, I am very pleased that you have such thoughts. Then bring her along. It just so happens that she also hates Lin Yi and that Han Jingjing. It's best to let Lin Yi and Han Jingjing die together, so that you can all vent your hatred." That's right. This time, Not only Han Jingjing, but also that bitch Wang Xinyan. I want her dead. Motherfucker, how dare she make my big brother a cuckold? I want her dead. Kong Ming said hatefully. This trial will be the death of Lin Yi's entire family. If it weren't for the fact that those inheritors are still useful, I would let the 5 evils dragon eat them all. Well, it doesn't matter. When we get to the Heaven Stage Island, we will find a way to kill them. The role of the inheritors is limited to the opening of the Heaven Stage Island. At that time, they will be useless. Patriarch Xianxia nodded. That's true. Father-in-law is still wise. Kong Ming nodded. Similar to the previous trials, after Lin Yi drove through several cities, he saw a barren land in front of him. At most, he could see a few villages and large tracts of farmland. As he went further, he couldn't even see the villages anymore. It was just an endless wasteland. Moreover, the road was getting more and more difficult to walk on. Fortunately, Lin Yi had experience and was driving an off-road vehicle. Otherwise, he would really go crazy. However, the road was a little bumpy. But now, whether it was Lin Yi, Xinyan, or Han Jingjing, they were all sky-class masters. They didn't care about that at all. Both of them were participating in the trials for the first time, so they were extremely excited. Of course, it was the same for Lin Yi, since he could see Meng Yao, Yu Shu, Yu Ning, Xiao, Little Nine, and Guan Xian. Lin Yi had wanted to go with Guan Xian, but the inheritors' process was different from the experience. Boss Bai had to escort them personally, so Lin Yi could only give up. Will this trial be dangerous? Wang Xinyan's excitement was tinged with worry. With Lin Yi bro here, there's no need to be afraid. Han Jingjing was very confident. If it's dangerous, there will be in every trial. It depends on the content of the trial. We don't know what the trial is about, we'll only know when we go. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was very calm. After all, he would participate no matter if it was dangerous or not. After walking for another day, Lin Yi's car finally arrived at the announced location of the trial. 5 Elements Mountain Range. This place wasn't far from the Sky Elixir sect, but it was in 2 different directions. No wonder there was something fishy going on between the Sky Elixir sect and the 5 Elements sect. The 2 were so close. It seemed like this was the side closest to the 5 Fiends Mountain Range. He just didn't know how to enter. Lin Yi guessed that the 5 Elements Mountain Range was a part of the 5 Fiends Mountain Range, but the 2 weren't directly connected. There was a barrier in the middle, so it wasn't possible to enter. At the foot of the desolate 5 Elements Mountain Range, there was a luxurious inn. The style was similar to the inn in the Sky Elixir sect's trial. It was specially prepared for the participants. This similar style made Lin Yi feel that the Sky Elixir sect and the 5 Elements sect were related. Otherwise, they wouldn't have built it so similar. In the parking lot in front of the inn, there were already a few cars parked there. They were obviously the other participants. As for Lin Yi parked the car in the parking lot and got out with Zhao Qikuan. There were a few cars parked there as well, but he didn't know if they belonged to the other participants or the 5 Elements sect. The 3 of you, this isn't a normal inn. There's an important meeting going on here, and we don't accept outsiders. If you're not here for the meeting, then please leave. Lin Yi, Xinyan, and Han Jingjing had just entered the lobby when a man in a bagua robe stopped them. His tone was polite, but his words were firm. We're here for the trial. Lin Yi said faintly. Is this the meeting you were talking about? Oh, so you're participants? Then, please show us the invitation letter issued by the 5 Elements sect. Or if you are a rogue cultivator, please show us the map fragment of the Heavenly Stage Island. The man in the bagua robe nodded to the 3 of them and said, Of the 3 of us, these 2 are freelancers, and I'm from a branch of the 5 Elements sect, Boss Bai's sect. Lin Yi said. What? The man froze when he heard Lin Yi say that he was from a branch of the 5 Elements sect. He remembered what he was told earlier. He had to be careful. All right, tell us your names and show us your strength. I'll help you register. No problem. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, and Xinyan all channeled their arts, displaying their full power as Sky-class late-phase peak. The man in the robe was shocked beyond words. He was only a Sky-class early-phase disciple, and these 3 were all Sky-class full mastery. This was too strong. According to the rules of the trial this time, as long as one was above the Heaven stage, they could participate. There was no upper limit, so after the man in the bagua robe saw their strength, he quickly nodded and said, "Okay, then please show me your entrance scroll and your sex invitation letter. I will help you with the check-in procedures." Lin Yi nodded and handed over the 3 map fragments and the recommendation letter that Boss Bai wrote for him. The man checked them carefully and registered them one by one before returning them to Lin Yi. "Alright, that's enough. You guys keep them well. When the test starts, you'll have to hand them in. Don't lose them, or you won't be able to participate in the test." Lin Yi nodded. "Alright, that's enough." Chapter 3495. "So, are you staying in 1 room or 3? The man in the bagua robe asked. "A suite, please." Lin Yi, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing were very close, and there was no need for them to be separated. Although the 2 of them had the strength of peak late phase heaven class, they had no fighting power. For safety's sake, Lin Yi had to sleep with them. The man nodded and recorded their request, then handed a room card to Lin Yi, 3rd floor, room 301. After receiving the room card, Lin Yi, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing prepared to go upstairs. The inn here had the most primitive stairs, there was no elevator, and just as Lin Yi and the other 2 were going upstairs, a participant above was going down. However, the stairs were narrow, and only one person could pass. Lin Yi took 2 steps up, and the person also took 2 steps down. This was a spiral staircase, and there was no slow platform in the middle, so only one of them could go back. Lin Yi had just arrived, and naturally didn't want to cause trouble. According to the rules of the secular world, people usually entered first, and then left. So when Lin Yi, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing were about to go down, the person above spoke. "The one below, get out of the way. Damn it, I don't know where this wandering cultivator came from, and he even brought 2 girls with him. Does he think he's here to play? He really hasn't seen the world." This person was a disciple of a foreign sect, and his name was Lu Taishao. He had the strength of peak late phase heaven class, which was also a very powerful existence in the trial, so he had always been arrogant. He had just bullied a peak late phase heaven class wandering cultivator in the morning, so he was bursting with confidence. Moreover, he was participating in the trial. In theory, they could bring their spirit beasts and servants here. As long as they didn't go to the trial, it would be fine. It was normal for them to take care of the trial takers in their rooms. However, most of the trial takers came here to train, not to enjoy themselves. And so naturally, Lu Taishao thought that Xinyan and Han Jingjing were Lin Yi's family. On the other hand, some rogue cultivators who had a bit of strength didn't know what to do in front of ordinary people in the secular world. Of course, in front of the ancient sects, they were nothing. Lin Yi found this somewhat funny. In the ancient era, there was actually someone who didn't know him and was acting cool in front of him? He didn't know about the pretentious ones. Were they all dead or crippled? However, just as Lin Yi was about to speak, a nervous voice rang out behind him. "Brothers, when you're outside, suffering a loss is gaining an advantage. You should avoid it if you can." Lin Yi was slightly stunned and turned around. He saw a thin man in his 20s standing behind him. Naturally, a heaven rank expert couldn't tell his age, so who knew how old this person was? "Thank you for the reminder." Lin Yi thought about it and decided to forget it. Now, Lin Yi's mentality was different from before. Lin Yi really couldn't be bothered with him. Thus, Lin Yi took 2 steps back and let the cultivator who was about to go down first. Ha 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 ha. Lu Taisao was very happy to see Lin Yi retreating, coming down the stairs and leaving arrogantly. He didn't forget to show off his sky class full mastery strength before leaving. "You're a good person, man. Be a man, don't overestimate yourself or you won't even know how you died." Lin Yi shook his head helplessly and looked at the person who reminded him. However, Lin Yi didn't know this person. He probably didn't know him either. Otherwise, he wouldn't have reminded him. After all, Lin Yi was infamous in the ancient times. Who would dare to cause trouble for Lin Yi now? "Brother, take a step back. Moreover, you have a family here. It's even harder to become enemies with such a narrow-minded person." The man reminded Xiao Chen. "You're right. How should I address you?" Lin Yi asked. "I'm Xiao Ran, a descendant of a declining family. I used to be from the ancient Xiao family. I wonder if you've heard of it?" Speaking up to here, Xiao Ran couldn't help but laugh bitterly at himself. Because my family has been demoted from an ancient family to an ordinary family, I came here with the identity of a rogue cultivator. I'm now an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. How should I address you, brother? You seem to be a rogue cultivator, right? Why do you say that? Can't I come from a sect? Lin Yi was slightly stunned and asked curiously. However, Lin Yi really hadn't heard of the ancient Xiao family. It was probably a very declining family, just like Faubert's sect. They weren't qualified to participate in this trial anymore. Those sect disciples are all arrogant. How could they be willing to give in? At this point, Xiao Ran bitterly smiled and said, "Only a rogue cultivator would be as modest as you. Moreover, this is a trial, so most people wouldn't bring their families. However, you brought 2 women, so you're definitely a rogue cultivator. The disciples of sects and clans wouldn't do that, as it would distract them. Therefore, I suggest that you send the 2 of them back." Hee. Thank you for the reminder, Brother Xiao. However, they're also here to participate in the trial. Lin Yi smiled. They're both Sky Class perfected. My name is Lin Yi, and I'm indeed a rogue cultivator. All right, I should go upstairs now. Brother Xiao, I'll leave you to your work. Sky Class perfected? Xiao Ran looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. You're the legendary Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded, speechless at Xiao Ran's reaction. He might be famous now, but there was no need to act like that, was there? It's me, Brother Lin. Xiao Ran shook his head with a bitter smile. Then I won't disturb you anymore. All right, let's talk more in the future. Lin Yi nodded and led Xinyan and Han Jingjing upstairs. After Xiao Ran left, Xinyan said, "This guy's not bad, he's a warm-hearted person." Yeah, he probably suffered under that person's hands, but he's an honest person. We can talk more in the future. But for now, let's settle down first. Lin Yi said, "We don't know who's with the Xianxia ancestor, so it's best if we don't form cliques." We'll listen to you, anyway. We won't form cliques. Xinyan nodded. Chapter 3496. Lin Yi and the other 2 settled down and rested for a bit before heading to the restaurant for dinner. Lin Yi brought Xinyan and Han Jingjing to the restaurant on the first floor of the inn. When he went downstairs, he heard 2 people talking in front of him, and one of them was the Lu Taishao he'd met earlier. "Brother Lu, you may be strong, but there are a few people in this trial that you cannot afford to mess with." The one who spoke was a freelancer from a foreign land, but while he was a freelancer, he naturally got along well with Lu Taishao. "Oh, little 2, you're quite well informed. Tell me, who can't be messed with?" Lu Taishao said casually. He was a Sky Class full mastery, and in his eyes, there was no one he couldn't mess with. Kong Ming Ming is someone we can't mess with. He's the son-in-law of the founder of this trial, Elder Xianxia. While he's just a refiner, he's not someone we can mess with. Little 2 said. Oh, of course. Lu Taishao felt good about himself, but he wasn't an idiot. He knew the power of the 5-element sect, and normal people couldn't afford to mess with them. Who else? There's also a fierce person from the Everyday and Everyday sect. I heard that in the past trials, the participants who fought with him didn't gain anything out of it. This person is called Jianghu, and his practitioner's arts are quite strange as well. Little 2 said. Jianghu, I've heard of him, he really is a fierce person. Lu Taishao withered upon hearing that it was someone from the Everyday and Everyday sect. He knew how strong this sect was, second only to the 5-element sect. There's one more person we can't mess with. He's a freelancer, but I've heard that he's always crushed Zhang Naipeo in the past trials. Little 2 said. It can't be. Can a freelancer be that strong? Lu Taishao had heard of Lin Yi as well. But he thought to himself, how strong could a freelancer be? He was afraid that it was all just a bluff, so he said disdainfully, it doesn't look like there's anything great about it. Shoo, I say, Brother Lu, you have to be careful. The walls have ears. Don't let it get to Lin Yi's ears. Be careful not to get into trouble. Tu Xiaoshou hurriedly said, let's not talk about whether the rumors about the previous trials are true or not. Even if it's not true, that Lin Yi is at least someone who can fight Zhang Naipeo. Even if he lost, Naipeo didn't do anything to him. That's enough to prove that he's not simple. Humph, is it true? Perhaps Naipeo was taking pity on him. He might not even die. Lu Taisho snorted, a little disdainful of Tu Xiaoshuo's cowardice. That Lin Yi, no matter how strong he is, he's only at the peak of Heaven Realm. He's just a rogue cultivator without a sect or sect. You and I are both Heaven Realm full circle experts. 2 versus 1. You're still not confident? That's true, but I heard that Lin Yi's practitioner's arts are very strange, and so are his techniques. He's known as the #1 under Heaven's laws, and I heard that he can kill a Heaven Realm full circle in one hit. I think it's best to be careful. Tu Xiaoshuo said in a low voice. All right, it doesn't matter how strong he is, we don't have much to do with him. We'll let that legendary Zhang Naipeo fight him. Tai Saw said with a wave of his hand. All right. Let's not talk about this anymore. Tu Xiaoshuo shook his head. It seemed that Lu Taisho didn't really think much of Lin Yi. It was normal for a disciple from a sect like this to look down on a freelancer. Tu Xiaoshuo was also a Heaven Realm full circle like Lu Taisho, but when the two were together, Lu Taisho was the leader. Lin Yi heard their conversation from not too far away. But he wasn't interested in looking for trouble with them, because Lin Yi didn't care at all. If these people thought he was strong, then so be it. Lin Yi didn't even bother looking for trouble with them when they went downstairs. Not now, after all. Lin Yi shook his head. After the two entered the dining hall, Lin Yi brought Xinyan and Han Jingjing with him. Lin Yi saw the practitioner Xiao Ran from afar, eating at a table by himself. He raised his head and gave Lin Yi a friendly smile when he saw Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded back. Since the guy was being polite, there was no need for Lin Yi to treat him coldly. As for building a good relationship with him, Lin Yi didn't think about it. This test was different from the past, and Lin Yi didn't want to stand out too much. He didn't want to form a clique. Many of the inheritors in the test had connections with Lin Yi, so if Lin Yi were to form cliques with other participants, then Xianxia would be wary of him and cause unnecessary trouble. Lin Yi would lose more than he gained. His purpose for coming here was very simple. He didn't want to become enemies with anyone. He just wanted to pass the test and participate in the Heaven Rank meeting and go to the Heaven Rank Island. As long as he could achieve this goal, Lin Yi could just muddle along. There was no need for him to cause trouble. The dining hall was a self-service restaurant. There were no waiters, and one had to go to the window to order. When Lin Yi arrived, Lu Taisho and Tu Xiaoshuo were ordering their food. Seeing Lin Yi walk over, Lu Taisho snorted disdainfully. Line up slowly and wait. You don't know the rules. Lin Yi looked at him indifferently and didn't say anything. Fuck, what are you looking at? Do you think you're so awesome? You're just a rogue cultivator. Do you dare to say your name? Lu Taisho glared at Lin Yi. He came here to find a sense of existence and to step on people for fun. I'm Lin Yi, Lin Yi said. Lin Yi, all right. I'll remember it. We'll meet in the test. Lu Taisho was talking non-stop when Tu Xiaoshuo's face changed. He kept pulling on Lu Taisho, telling him to stop. What? Why are you pulling me? Brother Lu, Lin Yi. He's Lin Yi. Tu Xiaoshuo reminded bitterly. Lin Yi? What's wrong with Lin Yi? Lu Taisho paused, and his face changed all of a sudden as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. You? You're the Lin Yi who fought against Zhang Naipeo? Fight. More or less. Lin Yi nodded. It's more like he's the one who gets hurt every time. Well, young Master Lin, why don't you order your food first? I'll wait a bit. Lu Taisho was trying to act cool, but he didn't because he didn't care. Once he saw Lin Yi, his legs went soft. Chapter 3497. Since Lin Yi's rumor hadn't been dispelled, there had to be a reason behind it. He could pretend to be pretentious if he had nothing better to do, but if he really met Lin Yi, he wouldn't want to risk his life. When they were at the Mystic and Earth class, perhaps some people would still be unconvinced and feel that they were the strongest. But when they reached the Sky class, everyone became more cautious. After all, this strength was hard to come by, and no one was willing to fight to the death with others without any grievances. Lu Taisho was thinking this way. Those who were obviously weaker than him, such as Xiao Ran, he could step on them without fear. But Lin Yi's strength was still unclear. It was said that he could instantly kill a Sky-class full circle master, so he was probably a full circle master. With this kind of strength, Lu Taisho didn't dare to be rash. Lin Yi looked at him, a little amused, and brought Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing to buy food. Maybe it was on purpose. Han Jingjing whispered something to Wang Xinyan, and so the two of them revealed their sky-class full-circle late-stage strength at the same time. This stunned Lu Taishao, who had dodged to the side, and he was so scared that he almost knelt down. How were these Lin Yi's family? They were clearly two top practitioners who came to participate in the trial. Wasn't he just too fucking powerful? Thinking of this, Lu Taishao didn't hesitate and quickly said, "Ladies, please." "Haha, I was afraid that someone else would take the lead, so I specially helped you to reserve seats. Please order." Xiao Ran was speechless as he watched from the side, but this was the first time he felt Lin Yi's power. He could make someone as arrogant as Lu Taishao submit. For better or worse, he and Tu Xiaoxiu were at the great perfection of the heaven rank. When they saw Lin Yi, they felt a bit terrified. Now that they saw that Lin Yi was also at the great perfection of the heaven rank, they were scared to the point that they regretted saying those words. Fortunately, Lin Yi didn't care about it. Otherwise, he really hadn't participated in the trial yet. He was crippled by someone. Although the Five Elements sect had a rule that private fights were not allowed during the period of staying in the inn before the trial. But rules are dead. People are alive. Would the rules of the Five Elements sect really apply to Lin Yi, who could kill several experts of the Five Elements sect in one breath? Lu Taishou was very suspicious. He calmly retreated with Tu Xiaoxiu, but when he passed by Xiao Ran's table, suddenly, he saw Xiao Ran looking up at him, and immediately became angry. "What the fuck are you looking at? Are you looking for a beating?" Xiao Ran was startled, and immediately lowered his head in fear. He was just casually looking. Who would have thought that Lu Taishou would directly vent his displeasure on him? But even though he knew this, he didn't dare to refute, and could only say, "I don't dare." "Don't dare? I think you are very daring, simply too daring. Are you looking at me as a joke?" Lu Taishou finally found a point. How could he give up so easily? He didn't dare to provoke Lin Yi, but this Xiao Ran was no problem. A peak late-stage heaven-rank rogue cultivator. Dealing with him was simply a piece of cake. I just felt the aura of the great perfection of the heaven rank, so I looked up." Xiao Ran smiled bitterly. "You didn't? I think you are very talented, simply too talented." Lu Taishou slammed the table and said, "You motherfucker, stand up." Xiao Ran's heart surged with humiliation. The Xiao family had been in decline for many years, even to the point that it was lower than an ordinary family. If it wasn't for his luck, he wouldn't have been able to cultivate all the way to the peak late-stage heaven rank. He planned to use the heaven rank trial to amaze the world, ascend to the heaven rank island, and then come back to revive the Xiao family. Before the Xiao family was revived, all grievances could be endured. He took a deep breath, and slowly stood up. But at this time, just as Lu Taishou was about to flip out, an accident happened. Lin Yi turned his head, looked at Lu Taishou indifferently, and said, "Brother Xiao Ran, I ordered a little too many dishes, help me get them." Xiao Ran was stunned, and then a look of gratitude flashed across his face. Lin Yi helped him out, and he didn't believe that Lin Yi's group of 3 couldn't get the dishes. Lin Yi nodded to him, indicating for him to come over. Actually, Lin Yi didn't want to form a faction before, but seeing Xiao Ran being bullied, Lin Yi decided to lend a hand. After all, Xiao Ran had kindly reminded him before. Even if he didn't need Xiao Ran's reminder, it was still Xiao Ran's good intentions, and helping Xiao Ran now was just a small effort for Lin Yi, so Lin Yi spoke up for him. Of course, Lin Yi didn't have any intention of becoming friends with Xiao Ran at the moment. Before they landed on Heaven Tier Island, Lin Yi had to keep a low profile as much as possible. Lu Taishou was a little stunned, but he immediately understood that Lin Yi was helping Xiao Ran. He sighed helplessly and walked out of the restaurant with Tu Xiaoxiu. He didn't have the face to stay there any longer, and even though his heart was filled with hatred, there was nothing he could do. Want to take revenge on Lin Yi? He didn't dare, and he didn't have the strength to do so. Since that was the case, he could only leave quietly and see if he could cause some trouble for Lin Yi during the trial. He was a vengeful person, and while he seemed to have given in on the surface, his heart wasn't. If he had the chance, he would definitely teach Lin Yi a bloody lesson. However, just as he was about to walk out of the restaurant and take a stroll, he heard a commotion at the entrance of the inn. 2 challengers opened the door to the inn, one on the left and one on the right. Then the 2 of them walked in, one in front of the other, arrogantly. These 2 were the people Lin Yi hadn't seen in a long time, Zhang Naipeo and Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was in front, and Zhang Naipeo was behind. No matter how you looked at it, Zhong Pingliang was Zhang Naipeo's boss, as well as the founder of the Everyday and Everyday sect. What's worth mentioning was that after a period of tempering his soul and body, Pingliang had finally digested the original Mad Dragon Master's inheritance and stepped into Sky-class late-phase peak once more. He was planning to use this trial as an opportunity to break through to Sky-class full circle in one go, near the 5 Malevolent Dragons' cave where the 5 Malevolent Qi was abundant. Zhang Naipeo, on the other hand, had successfully broken through his heart's demon and stepped into Sky-class late-phase peak. He was a true top-class master now, and he had 2 goals for this trial. The first was to train his ability to absorb and resist the 5 Malice Qi, and the second was to work with Zhong Pingliang to kill Lin Yi. Chapter 3498. At this time, Dongfeng Badeo had already successfully promoted to the peak of the late stage of Heaven class, and he also wanted to use this trial to stimulate his potential under the pressure of the 5 Evils Qi, and break through to the peak of Heaven class in one fell swoop. In fact, most of the people who came here, including the inheritors, wanted to rely on the strong pressure of the 5 Evils Qi to break through the limit. Ordinary cultivators wanted to break through themselves, and inheritors wanted to strengthen their inheritance. The so-called 5 Evils Qi was actually a kind of demonic Qi similar to the spiritual Qi of heaven and earth, but not the same. The spiritual Qi of heaven and earth was universal, but the 5 Evils Qi was not. The 5 Evils Qi was a mixture of the 5 attributes of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. This kind of Qi was called demonic Qi. Because it had 5 attributes, ordinary cultivators couldn't absorb it at all. When absorbing their own attributes, they also had to absorb the Qi of the other 4 attributes. In this way they would go crazy, and in the worst case they would explode and die. Of course, in the 5 Evils Wildland, this situation was not serious. As long as one didn't practice, there would be no problem. But in the 5 Evils Mountains, it was different. Here, even if you didn't practice, the 5 Evils Qi would whiz into your body, so it was not something you could just ignore. In this way, you must go all out to fight against these 5 Evils Qi, resist the pressure, break through the limit in the battle with the 5 Evils Qi, and improve your strength. And the inheritors were the same. The inheritors also used their own strong 5 elements to resist the 5 Evils Qi, to achieve the purpose of strengthening their own inheritance. In addition, the only ones who were not affected were the 5-element cultivators like Lin Yi and a few demonic cultivators, such as Zhang Naipeo. This guy practiced the wasp absorption art, and could absorb all kinds of Qi, demonic Qi, and poison to turn into his own Qi. In the past, he practiced in a group of poisonous bees and poisons, and now he was called a mobile detoxification pill by the Everyday and Everyday sect. If the food was poisonous, he could find Zhang Naipeo to suck it. If anyone was poisoned, he could find Zhang Naipeo to suck it. Therefore, in the 5 Evils Wildland, Zhang Naipeo was not only unaffected, but could also practice. This was also the reason why Zhang Naipeo shone in the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect last time. And Dongfeng Badeo was alone, and he also knew the danger of this trial. And so, he met 2 masters from the Everyday and Everyday sect on the way. He hated Zhang Naipeo for killing his grandson, but he didn't care. However, Dongfeng Badeo was a scheming man. He knew that he wasn't Zhang Naipeo's opponent at all. He didn't even need to fight, so he chose to surrender directly. He would become Zhang Naipeo and Pingliang's lackey. In comparison, he hated Lin Yi even more. After all, Dongfeng Bushu had been killed in the trial. Life and death in the trial was up to fate, so he could not blame the other trial takers. However, it was different for Lin Yi. That was in the secular world. Furthermore, he had killed more than 1 expert from the Dongfeng family. The Dongfeng clan previously had a total of 10 heaven stage experts, and 6 of them died a violent death. As a result, only Dongfeng Badeo and Dongfeng Jinxing were left. The other 2 were not even from the Dongfeng clan itself, but were guest elders. The Dongfeng clan directly fell from the top ancient sect to the altar. One had to know that, except for the Ice Palace and the 5 Elements sect, most of the ancient sects and families only had 2 or 3 heaven stage masters. They only had 2 or 3 sky class masters. For example, the Dark Palace and the ancient House Feng only had 1 or 2 sky-class masters before Mengyao and Feng Shipian broke through. Therefore, the Dongfeng clan was the existence of the military leader level. As a result, they were beaten by Lin Yi into a half-disabled bottom family. How could Dongfeng Badeo not be angry and resentful? so he had a chance. He would kill Lin Yi. And Dongfeng Badao also learned that Zhang Naipao and Zhong Pinliang had hatred with Lin Yi. Anyway, they had cooperated to encircle the three ancestors of the blood-cloth underworld sect last time. It didn't matter to cooperate again. Lin Yi, this kid, spent a lot of money to hire bodyguards from the blood-cloth underworld sect. In the secular world, Dongfeng Badao didn't dare to do anything to him. Later, when Lin Yi leveled up, he didn't dare to do anything to him. But in the trial it was different. If he died in the trial, who would care? Even the people from the bloodcloth underworld sect couldn't come to the trial to protect Lin Yi, right? Besides, thinking back to the beginning, he was really shocked by the people called Ghost King Kong and ignored the existence of Lin Yi. Now thinking about it carefully, even if Lin Yi had money and could hire the bloodcloth underworld sect, he might not be able to hire them as bodyguards all the time. If he took advantage of that time to kill Lin Yi, before Lin Yi leveled up, there wouldn't be so many troubles. Hey, one step slower, every step slower. Now, he pinned his hopes on Zhang Naipao and Zhong Pinliang. Along the way, he already knew that Zhong Pinliang was the reincarnation of the mad dragon ancestor of the everyday sect, so he was more confident to kill Lin Yi. As for the other person who opened the door, it was the Fist Master of the Holy Fist Palace. He came here to find Zhang Naipao to avenge his poor disciple, but he was subdued by Zhang Naipao as soon as they met. Now he was suffering. His body was injected with poisonous gas by Zhang Naipao, and Zhang Naipao could control his poisonous gas at any time to make him feel worse than death. This poisonous gas was actually a special kind of true qi transformed by the wasp absorption art and the chrysanthemum book. It was similar to the mother and son true qi. Zhang Naipao could shoot out the true qi and hit others, and then achieve the purpose of controlling this person. Imagine, if this person was disobedient, Zhang Naipao would let the poisonous gas take effect, and this person would be in extreme pain, unable to use any strength. If he attacked at this time, he would definitely die. Of course, this trick was only effective for external masters for a long time, because internal masters, like the true qi, could resolve it on their own when they reached the level of sky class. It was only a matter of time. However, if it couldn't be resolved at that time, it would definitely have some effect, and it could temporarily make people lose their ability to attack. Therefore, this trick was very powerful. Only Zhang Naipao, who practiced the chrysanthemum book and the wasp absorption art together, could activate this trick. Otherwise, both of them were indispensable. Therefore, the Fist Master of the Holy Fist Palace was temporarily controlled by Zhang Naipao. He was a physical master, and he had no true qi in his body, so he couldn't resolve Zhang Naipao's poisonous true qi at all. Therefore, as long as Zhang Naipao was within 100 meters of him, the true qi in his body could be triggered, and that really made him feel like dying. Chapter 3499. Tai Xiao saw how strong these two were, having a sky class open the door for them. They had to be strong people. Little hands, who are they? I don't know the one in front, but I've seen the picture of the back. It's Zhang Naipao, the one known as the strongest person after Lin Yi, Tu Xiaoshou explained. He's Zhang Naipao? Tai Xiao's eyes flashed with excitement as he sighed and ran over. It's Gunslinger, I've heard so much about you. Naipao paused and looked at Tai Xiao curiously, confirming that he didn't know him at all. Who are you? Do you know me? Gunslinger, I'm from the swamp faction of the foreign. I'm Tai Xiao. I've heard of Gunslinger's name many times, and I'm here today to join Gunslinger. Tai Xiao quickly introduced himself. Other than the ancient sects of the Central Plains, there were other families and sects in the foreign. It was just that these sects didn't have any contact with the Central Plains, living their own lives, only appearing when Sky-class Island was about to open. Tai Xiao joined Naipao's side because he wanted to vent his frustration. He had a conflict with Xiao Ran before, and then with Lin Yi, so naturally he couldn't join Lin Yi's side. He wouldn't be welcomed even if he did. He wasn't happy about it, and wanted to teach Lin Yi and Xiao Ran a lesson, so the best choice was Zhang Naipao. He heard that Naipao and Lin Yi had a grudge, and that he was quite a strong person as well. As long as he provoked them properly, Naipao would definitely clash with Lin Yi again, and he'd be able to rejoice then. In truth, he still had a dark side to him, thinking that Lin Yi had lost face when he taught Xiao Ran a lesson. Naipao was a bit puzzled. Why did the foreigners know about him? If they were from the Chinese server, then it would be understandable. What's your strength? Naipao wanted to make sure that this guy wasn't that weak, and wanted his protection so that he could get some points in the test. Nai Peo didn't mind taking in some strong underlings, just like how Lin Yi took in a bunch of underlings. But the key problem was that he couldn't accept a burden. If he went to the trial, he would have to take care of his underlings. That would be troublesome. I'm an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Lu Taisho revealed his strength, then pointed at Tu Xiaoshou and said, "He is also my friend, he has the same strength." Tu Xiaoshou didn't know why Lu Taisho was on Nai Peo's side, but it was definitely a good thing to have someone strong protecting him in the test. He was on Lu Taisho's side because he wanted to have someone to rely on in the test, otherwise he'd die on his own. Canon. Since these two are willing to be your underlings, you should accept them. Pin Liang said faintly as he looked at the two of them. Yes, Liang bro. Nai Peo nodded quickly. Alright, if that's the case, then you two can follow me. This is my boss, Zhong Pingliang. He's also the founder of the Everyday and Everyday sect. Show some respect. Ah! Lu Taisho looked at Pin Liang subconsciously. So young, and he was already being called a founder? How strong! But thinking back to the evil energy of the Everyday and Everyday sect, it wasn't surprising that he was the founder at such a young age. Greetings, Mad Dragon founder. Tu Xiaoshou quickly came over to greet the two as well. Let's go eat something. I'm starving on the way here. Pin Liang waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to go eat first. Excuse me, can you guys do a registration? The shopkeeper walked over carefully. He'd already confirmed the identity of the newcomer, so he didn't dare act rashly. Register my ass. Do you think I'm an imposter? Pin Liang slapped the owner, sending him tumbling on the ground. He wasn't just any Pin Liang now, he was the founder of the Mad Dragon founder. This sky-class island plan had been started by him and the Xianxia ancestor back in the day, and so only the Xianxia ancestor could talk to him. If it were anyone else, Pin Liang wouldn't even give a shit. The Everyday and Everyday sect was an indispensable sect for the opening of Sky-class Island. And Nai Peo. He was one of the indispensable candidates. Nai Peo's job was the same as the other heirs, to absorb the 5 malice demonic chi from the entrance formation, relieving the heirs of the burden. Only someone like Nai Peo could do that. He could absorb the 5 malice demonic chi, and so he had the right to be arrogant. If the Xianxia ancestor hadn't come looking for them, they wouldn't have been able to open Sky-class Island. It was only after the death of the Mad Dragon founder that the Everyday and Everyday sect started to decline, and the Xianxia ancestor didn't really care about them anymore. But now, Pin Liang was resurrected. We wouldn't dare. The shopkeeper who was beaten had a bitter expression on his face. He didn't expect the people from the Everyday and Everyday sect to be so overbearing, but he didn't dare to interrogate them anymore. He could only let them in while he secretly called Patriarch Xianxia. Pin Liang and Nai Peo swaggered towards the restaurant, but Tai Saw stopped them halfway. Wait! What are you doing? Pin Liang paused, a little unhappy. We'll talk about it when we eat. Why are you stopping me? No, it's just that I have something important to tell you. Tai Saw said. There's a tough guy eating with his family in the restaurant right now, and he's not letting anyone in. What? Who's so arrogant, taking over a restaurant all by himself? Isn't that what I do all the time? Pin Liang laughed. Pin Liang, have lived for so long, and there aren't many people who dare act cocky in front of me. Yeah, but this guy is really arrogant. Tai Saw nodded. Tu Xiaoshou and I were scared out by him just now. What an idiot, scared out of him just like that. Who's inside? I'd like to see if they can scare me out too. Pin Liang laughed coldly, not caring at all. Yeah, let's see who's the one scaring who. Nai Peo nodded as well. He was just about to show off his newfound strength, and someone came knocking on his door. That guy said he's called Lin Yi. Tai Saw said weakly. Who cares what he's called? Gah! Pin Liang stopped in his tracks and turned to Tai Saw. What did you say? He's called Lin Yi? Chapter 3500. That's right, it's Lin Yi. I heard that he's a very hard person to get along with, and even I got kicked out. The only ones eating in there are Lin Yi and his 2 family members, as well as a follower named Xiao Ran. Taisho said, fanning the flames. Tu Xiaoshou, on the other hand, had to admit that Taisho really knew how to sow dissension. With just a few words, he'd shifted all the hatred and conflict onto Nai Peo. Nai Peo and Lin Yi were already at odds with each other, And now Naipeo was saying that he wouldn't let anyone in to eat. He wouldn't be Naipeo if he could take it lying down. As expected, it was Pinliang beside him who got pissed before Naipeo could. Pow, let's go in and have a look. If it's Lin Yi, we should at least greet him. It's been a while. He'd pissed his pants last time at Star West, and didn't dare cause trouble for Lin Yi out of fear. After all, Blood Cloak Yellow Springs was under the protection of the Killer Kong duo, and Lin Yi was hired by Blood Cloak Yellow Springs. Pinliang had to give them some face. But an employer was an employer, and Blood Cloak Yellow Springs was under the Killer Kong duo, but Lin Yi wasn't. He'd given them some face, and that was the best he could do. Besides, conflicts in the test were unavoidable. There was no way Blood Cloak Yellow Springs would turn on him just because of an employer. That was obviously impossible. All right. Naipeo nodded as he followed Pinliang into the restaurant. Dongfeng Badeo, Lawless, Taisho, and Tu Xiaoshou followed behind them. Bam! The restaurant door was kicked open by Pinliang. Lin Yi was eating with Han Jingjing and Xinyan when the sudden noise startled him. Lin Yi turned around to see Pinliang and Naipeo walking in. Isn't this Mr. Lin Yi? Pinliang laughed. Long time no see. I wonder if you still remember this old classmate of yours. Wanting to kill you? Lin Yi looked at Pinliang faintly. Sky class late phase peak? This guy's leveling speed wasn't slow at all. Who knew what kind of treasure the everyday and everyday sect had given him for him to level up so quickly? Naipeo, on the other hand, had become a perfected master. Last time, during the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect, the backlash from Lin Yi's move had formed an inner demon. He didn't expect that he would get out of the predicament so quickly. He was really a martial arts prodigy. Lin Yi was getting more and more suspicious. His coming to Songshan was a trap set up by the mastermind. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence that all the girls around him were inheritors? The students around him were all martial arts geniuses. Still, this person who could see through the entire game was a master. Even Yushu wouldn't be able to match up to this kind of foresight ability, right? Shu the prophet was already very powerful. But compared to this person, she paled in comparison. Pinliang, what do you want? Lin Yi asked faintly. Haha, it's nothing. Do you know why I'm here? I'll tell you, I'm here for Meng Yao. After the Sky Class Island incident, I'll get Meng Yao. I can't get her heart, and it's the same with her body. I'm no longer the Pinliang from before. I'm Mad Dragon Pinliang now. Pinliang laughed as he threatened Lin Yi. He'd always wanted Meng Yao to fall in love with him, so he'd always used gentle methods. But now that he'd merged with Mad Dragon's personality. But after merging with Mad Dragon's personality, Pinliang became more decisive and ruthless, and his way of thinking matured. Meng Yao was just a pretty girl, after all. He'd just capture her and bring her to the everyday and everyday sect. What was the point of pursuing? Strength was everything. Did the demonic energy invade your brain and turn you into an idiot? Lin Yi looked at him. Just say it if you want to die. I'll send you on your way. I didn't kill you before because we were classmates. But I'm no longer the Lin Yi from before. I'm Lin Yi who can kill. I've already killed a lot of masters from the 5 Element sect. Your everyday and everyday sect won't make a difference. Good, very good. Do you dare to challenge us during the trial? Pinliang was getting annoyed. Ever since he became the Mad Dragon Elder, no one dared to disrespect him other than the Killer Kong twins. Boring, what's wrong with you? I'm going to the test, not to beat you up. If you want to get beaten up, go tell the inn and cancel your registration. I'll beat you up first. Lin Yi said faintly. He didn't want to leave any evidence for the Xianxia elder. Once he checked into the inn, it meant that he couldn't openly fight in private before the test. If it was before, it wouldn't matter, but this time, Lin Yi had to participate in the test. Even if it wasn't for himself, he had to do it for the inheritors. As a result, Lin Yi tried his best not to cause trouble, but Pinliang's endless chatter annoyed him. That's why he said that. No problem, I didn't register when I came, so it's not considered the test yet. If you're not satisfied, let's spar. Pinliang said directly. Are you sure? Lin Yi looked at Pinliang strangely. Was this guy crazy? A Sky Class late phase peak dared to challenge a perfect class? In actuality, what Lin Yi didn't know was that Pinliang was the Mad Dragon Elder of the everyday and everyday sect. How could he not have some abilities? Zhang Naipeo had those evil and mysterious arts, so it was impossible for Pinliang to not have them. Plus, although Zhang Naipeo failed in the test, he had to give Pinliang a bone-cleansing pill to appease the everyday sect so that they would do their best to wake him up. After taking the pill, Pinliang expelled all the toxins from his body, successfully merging with the Mad Dragon ancestor's soul inheritance. His practitioner's arts were actually a very evil existence. That's right. But in order not to hurt our relationship, we'll stop here. We can injure each other, but we can't go all out, Pinliang said. He was actually afraid that Lin Yi would go all out and catch him off guard. Haha. Lin Yi laughed. This Pinliang was admitting defeat after the challenge? But Lin Yi really didn't want to kill Pinliang. Although he said that he hadn't completed the registration, he was already at the inn. If he really killed him, the Xianxia elder and Kong Mingming would come up with some nonsense. Lin Yi really didn't want to waste time with them. All right, wait for me for a while. Let me finish eating. Chapter 3501. Pinliang was quite excited to be able to torture Lin Yi with his own hands. He didn't mind waiting a little longer. He brought Naipeo and the others to order some food and started eating at a table not far away. Lu Taishao, on the other hand, had a smug look in his eyes. He really was smart. With just a few words, he made the god of the everyday sect clash with Lin Yi, and it had escalated to the level of a duel. He was very happy to see Lin Yi get beaten up. At that time, he would be able to step on Xiao Ran again. Motherfucker, this scoundrel, I'll let you see that your backer, Lin Yi, is also a piece of trash. Xiao Ran may have been helped by Lin Yi, but he knew that he and Lin Yi had nothing to do with each other. Lin Yi helping him once was already very good, and it wasn't realistic to expect Lin Yi to help him again. Lin Yi was probably just taking care of her along the way. So Xiao Ran quickly finished his food and left the restaurant when he saw Naipeo and the others come in. He didn't want to cause more trouble for Lin Yi. Lu Taishao was obviously on Naipeo's side, and if he came looking for trouble, would Lin Yi help him or not? However, as soon as Xiao Ran walked out of the restaurant, he heard people talking about Naipeo. It turned out that the other participants were talking to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper had just reported to the Xianxia elder about the arrogance of the everyday sect, but the elder didn't say anything. After all, the Five Elements sect was no longer the same as before. Before, they could suppress the everyday sect with absolute superiority. But now, how many masters were left? Plus, the plan of Sky-class Island really did need Naipeo's help. He really couldn't be offended, and so the elder kept quiet and told the shopkeeper not to provoke them for now. However, although the shopkeeper knew that he wasn't a match for them, he could still complain in secret. Coincidentally, there were a few cultivators around, so everyone started chatting. They said some rumors about Zhang Naipeo, the Holy Fist Palace, and Dongfeng Badeo on the way, which made the shopkeeper in Bagua robe feel amazed and cold sweat. He thought that it was fortunate that he did not provoke Zhang Naipeo and had a conflict with him. Otherwise, would he be controlled? Xiao Ran didn't expect Zhang Naipeo to be so powerful. A top physical master of the Holy Fist Palace was controlled by him? Wasn't he being too vicious? Then Lin Yi better not be controlled by him. He didn't know the difference between Naipeo's practitioner's arts for spiritual and physical practitioners. He thought it was all the same, so he thought he had to quickly remind Lin Yi. Gratitude and gratitude were the morals of practitioners. He saw that Dongfeng Badeo, a spiritual practitioner, was also Naipeo's follower, so he thought that he was under Naipeo's control. Thinking of this, Xiao Ran went back to the restaurant and bought a bottle of water. He pretended to sit beside Lin Yi as if nothing had happened. This made Lin Yi a little puzzled. Why did Xiao Ran come back? Brother Lin, listen to me. Xiao Ran lowered his voice and said, Do you know anything about Zhang Naipeo? What's the matter? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Someone was talking about Zhang Naipeo outside. I heard it. Xiao Ran didn't talk much nonsense and said directly, I heard that on the way here, Zhang Naipeo had a conflict with Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace. Limitless Boxer wanted to avenge the disciple of the Holy Fist Palace who was disabled last time. As a result, before the fight started, he was subdued by Zhang Naipeo and became Zhang Naipeo's follower. Limitless Boxer? From the Holy Fist Palace? Became Zhang Naipeo's follower? Lin Yi frowned after hearing it. He was a little surprised. He only saw Dongfeng Badeo before. Lin Yi could understand that he was with Zhang Naipeo. Lin Yi had killed more people from his family than Zhang Naipeo, so it was normal for them to have a common enemy. But the other one was actually Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace? Li Siba of the Holy Fist Palace was Lin Yi's follower. Now Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace actually became Zhang Naipeo's follower. It was really ironic. What is the strength of Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace? How did Zhang Naipeo do it? Although Lin Yi didn't know the strength of Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace, he was sure that his strength was not low since he could participate in the Heaven Stage trial. It was really incredible that he could be subdued by Zhang Naipeo and become his follower. Could it be that after the wasp-sucking skill, the thorn skill and the demon hell fist, Zhang Naipeo had practiced some powerful martial arts or mental cultivation method? Thinking about it, it was possible. After all, Zhang Naipeo had endless evil tricks in the past. This time, he would not be so arrogant if he was not sure. A physical master at the peak of the late stage of the Heaven Stage. He is a top master, even more powerful than the ordinary internal master at the peak of the Heaven Stage. Xiao Ran sighed and said, I don't know the details of how Zhang Naipeo did it. I only heard that Zhang Naipeo casually patted Limitless Boxer of the Holy Fist Palace, and Limitless Boxer suddenly fell to the ground and rolled around in pain. What? Is there such an incredible thing? Lin Yi was stunned. Could it be that Zhang Naipeo was now able to control masters of the same level by just moving his hands? What did he rely on? This. Although it's a rumor, but I think it's 80% true. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to understand why Limitless Boxer would be involved with them. Limitless Boxer and the Everyday sect have a deep grudge. Xiao Ran said quietly. Besides, I suspect that Dongfeng Badeo was also subdued by Zhang Naipeo, because he is also a peak of the late stage of the Heaven Stage. There's no need for him to be a follower and suck up to those in power. Look at his and Limitless Boxer's attitude towards Zhang Naipeo. It's completely different from Luo Taisho. Luo Taisho is the kind of person who plays small tricks, borrowing power to fight power, looking for a backer, but those two seem to be very afraid of Zhang Naipeo. Is your information reliable? Lin Yi nodded faintly. One had to say that Xiao Ran's analysis was very accurate. Sweat, I'm just a freelancer. How would I have any information channels? I just heard people talking about it when I went out, so I paid attention. Xiao Ran said, Brother Lin, just be careful, then I'll go first. Don't cause you trouble here. It's not good if Luo Taisho uses me to find trouble for you. Lin Yi nodded and patted Xiao Ran's shoulder. He had a good impression of this person. Chapter 3502. If Lin Yi stood up for him, then it would be him and Lin Yi going against each other, which was not in line with his original intention. If he wanted to target Xiao Ran, he would have to wait until Lin Yi was finished. He wasn't that stupid. Lin Yi finished eating and looked at Zhong Pingliang, then said, I'm done, are you done? We just ate, of course we can't finish. Zhong Pingliang said. Then I'm leaving, go back and rest. You gave up the challenge, I'll take it as you lost. Lin Yi said. Zhong Pingliang was furious. What kind of logic was this? I can wait for you to eat, but you can't wait for me to eat? What kind of logic was this? However, there didn't seem to be any logic with Lin Yi. This person never seemed to be reasonable. He kicked him on the first day of school. How could he reason with him? So Zhong Pingliang could only grit his teeth and said, Fine, I can still beat you up without eating. Let's go. Liang Bro after you. Lawless Fist and Dongfeng Badeo quickly opened the door for Pinliang to enter the restaurant. Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo walked in front, and Lu Taisho and Tu Xiaoshou followed behind respectfully. They came to the empty space in front of the inn, and Lin Yi said, What do you want to compete in? Tell me, I can't beat you to death. You're so troublesome. You should know that I'm best at insta-killing my opponents. Insta-killing is too hurtful. We are old classmates. How about this, you and I fight for a few moves, if you lose, you better stop. Zhong Pingliang said with a wave of his hand. Oh, what if you lose? Lin Yi asked. I won't lose. Zhong Pingliang said confidently. Zhong Pingliang's words made Lin Yi laugh. Some people were like this, ridiculously arrogant, but Lin Yi couldn't make Zhong Pingliang do anything. If Zhong Pingliang lost, he lost. Lin Yi couldn't do anything to him. Could he kill him? Obviously not. Lin Yi wanted to keep a low profile during the trial. If he killed him, would Lin Yi still be able to participate in the trial? Forget it. Let's begin. Lin Yi waved his hand and said calmly. Pinliang's expression froze, and with a shake of his hand, a soft golden whip that looked like a golden dragon appeared in his hand. This was the Mad Dragon Patriarch's Sky-class weapon. Lin Yi's expression changed slightly. Who would have thought that Pinliang would take out a Sky-class weapon? One had to know that in this era where blacksmiths were extinct, it was extremely difficult to obtain a heaven-ranked divine weapon of one's own attribute. Not to mention obtaining one that matched one's own attribute. Even obtaining a weapon of other attributes was extremely difficult. Only a few sects with rich foundations would have it. For example, the ancient sects. It was impossible for ordinary sects and aristocratic families to have them. Fury of the Mad Dragon. Pinliang shouted suddenly, and the soft whip was like a mad dragon, flashing a dazzling golden light as it lashed towards Lin Yi. The head of the whip was like a dragon spitting fire, and the heat was scorching. It made people sweat profusely. This was the mantra that the Mad Dragon Patriarch cultivated, called the Mad Dragon Power. This cultivation technique was also a very heaven-defying cultivation technique. Just from its name, one could tell that it was a berserk dragon. Everyone knew how awesome a dragon was. Moreover, it was a berserk dragon. How mighty would it be? Back then, the Mad Dragon Patriarch was also a famous figure in the ancient world, and he could even fight against the Xianxia ancestor. It was just that he was killed by the Vajra dual fiends. Otherwise, not many people could be his match. Even if Pinliang was only at the peak of the late phase of heaven class, and hadn't reached the great perfection, he was still an extremely powerful existence. The chi of the golden dragon that he activated. Not only was it extremely powerful, but it also had a suppressive aura. Think about how powerful a dragon's aura was. In the legends, the dragon was the king of kings. Otherwise, the ancient emperors wouldn't be called the true dragon son of heaven. This aura. It could make practitioners tremble in front of him, as if there was a mountain in front of him. In front of Zhong Pingliang, any practitioner with a slightly weaker temperament would kneel down in fear. Even those with a strong mentality wouldn't be able to use the mantra. After all, the might of a dragon was not to be trifled with. As the chi of the golden dragon was activated, Pinliang could already imagine how Lin Yi would kneel under his feet. Because the people nearby were already trembling. Not to mention Lin Yi who was fighting him head-on. Thump, thump. The first to kneel wasn't Lin Yi, but Pinliang's lackeys. Other than Zhang Naipeo, Wu Wu Fist, Dongfeng Badeo, Lu Taijian, and Tu Xiaoshou were all kneeling on the ground, trembling, not daring to look at Pinliang directly. Zhang Naipeo and Pinliang's arts were the same, and Zhang Naipeo could absorb any poison, qi, energy, and pressure. So, other than the fact that it was a little hard for Zhang Naipeo to dissolve the pressure, there was nothing wrong with it. Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing, on the other hand, felt their hearts palpitate, but for some reason, they didn't kneel on the ground. Pa! Pinliang's whip flew over, but it was caught in Lin Yi's hand. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang and said faintly, "What is this? Is it fun? Is it fireworks?" Wah! Pinliang's eyes went wide as he looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi wasn't being pressured by his pressure, and was even holding his sky-class weapon in his hand. What was going on? That was impossible. His fury of the berserk dragon was effective against any cultivator. As long as it was a cultivator, they would definitely feel his pressure, unless the other party was not a cultivator. But Lin Yi was a practitioner, and a top-level one at that. How could Pinliang's fury of the berserk dragon be ineffective against Lin Yi? One had to know that fury of the berserk dragon looked very dazzling, but it didn't have much attack power. Its main purpose was to threaten the opponent, and as long as the opponent's psychological defense was broken, he could do whatever he wanted. "How are you fine?" Pinliang looked at Lin Yi surprised. "What do you mean, how am I fine? Is there something wrong with you? You used an electric cannon to scare people, and I'm fine? I thought you got smarter after going to the everyday and everyday sect, but you're still so stupid. You're just trying to scare people because you're not strong enough." Lin Yi said calmly. Chapter 3503. When the dragon totem appeared, all the practitioners had to kneel and kowtow. This was a skill that could only be used by a perfected practitioner, and using it with a sky-class late-phase peak consumed a lot of their energy. But, in order to defeat Lin Yi, Pinliang didn't care about that anymore. He used his strongest move. He didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't submit to him. Not to mention cultivators, even spirit beasts of the same level would have to kneel and submit to his technique. What are you doing? Magic. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang and asked faintly, You didn't call me here just to watch you play tricks, did you? Are you crazy? Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, I'm going back. Impossible. Pinliang's mouth was wide open as he stared at Lin Yi, who was perfectly fine, in utter shock. The move that he was so proud of seemed to be ineffective against Lin Yi. This was a mantra created by the ancient dragon, and it had a strong pressure on practitioners, especially the last move. Anyone who saw it would have to bow down, but Lin Yi didn't move at all. Wasn't this too unrealistic? Why yeah, go to hell. Pinliang raised his hands abruptly and made a strange gesture, and the dragon totem behind him glowed brightly in an instant. Pinliang's mantra was extremely powerful and heaven-defying. It was a mantra passed down from the ancient times, on par with Zhang Naipeo's chrysanthemum arts. Mantras passed down from the ancient times were usually invincible. Pinliang couldn't understand why his mantra didn't work on Lin Yi. It didn't matter if it didn't work on Lin Yi, but then he realized that Han Jingjing and Xinyan were fine as well. It didn't work on Lin Yi? It didn't make sense. Pinliang wasn't willing to give up. He roared, and the dragon totem on his body didn't dissipate. The golden dragon whip in his hand shook again, breaking free from Lin Yi's grip. It was aimed at Lin Yi's head. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang with a smile that wasn't quite a smile on his face. He didn't know why, but when he fought Pinliang earlier, he felt as if Pinliang was his follower. It was as if Pinliang was his follower, not him. Right now. This feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Lin Yi tried to circulate the mantra and suddenly shouted, Get down! Pinliang froze, then fell to the ground as if he'd received a blow, not daring to look at Lin Yi. His face was filled with shock and unwillingness, but he couldn't control his body. Pinliang's situation shocked Lin Yi as well, but Lin Yi quickly thought of a possibility. Lin Yi's art was called the Art of Dragon Mastery. Pinliang's arts must have something to do with dragons. Could it be that it had a restraining effect? Back then, when Lin Yi was cultivating it, he felt that the name of the Art of Dragon Mastery was amazing. It could even control a dragon, that was quite amazing. So now it could suppress Pinliang's mantra. That wasn't surprising at all. It seemed like the name of the Art of Dragon Mastery wasn't just for show. After Pinliang fell to the ground, he stopped circulating the mantra, but the pressure on his body weakened a lot. He tried it. He could actually stand up. What was going on? Pinliang was stunned, thinking that it wasn't an illusion just now, was it? This move of his had never failed before. So he harbored the thought of giving it a try and revolved the violent dragon divine technique once again. In the end, that kind of pressure suddenly returned again. Pinliang realized to his dismay that he wanted to submit to Lin Yi as soon as he used the practitioner's arts. But if it were anyone else, wouldn't they have to submit to Lin Yi? Why did he feel like submitting to Lin Yi? Impossible, he couldn't accept it. He couldn't accept it. Pinliang, are you going to be my follower? It looks like Prophet Shu was right. You're just a follower of mine. Lin Yi said mockingly as he looked at Pinliang. What? Prophet Shu? Pinliang paused, remembering who Prophet Shu was. Yushu had tricked him a lot back then, and he gritted his teeth in anger. Don't talk about this, we'll see in the trial. Do what you want. All right, since you're kneeling, it's your loss. If there's nothing else, I'm going back, Lin Yi said, waving at Xinyan and Han Jingjing, and the three of them walked to the inn. Xiao Ran saw Lin Yi's power from afar, suppressing Pinliang. He was very surprised, secretly admiring Lin Yi. Pinliang, on the other hand, didn't want to accept it, but there was nothing he could do. He lost the first battle, and he wanted to use Lin Yi to show off his power. Although he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi, making Lin Yi submit was a very satisfying thing. Wasn't Lin Yi the #1 under Sky Dao? Now that the #1 had submitted to him, didn't that make him the #1 now? Unfortunately, it was all for naught. Pinliang's chant could be said to be effective against anyone under Sky Dao. It was just a matter of how strong the effect was. It might be effective against someone like the Xianxia ancestor, but the Xianxia ancestor would react very quickly, and wouldn't be suppressed for long. But Lin Yi wasn't affected at all. Naipeo didn't expect this to happen, and he waited until Lin Yi left before coming back to his senses. Liang bro, do you want me to do something? No, you're a trump card. We need to save it for the test. We can't go against Lin Yi too early. Pin Liang shook his head. He didn't want to, but there was nothing he could do. He humphed. Let's go back. All right. Pin Liang nodded as he followed. As for the others, although they saw that Pin Liang had lost, no one dared to abandon him. They couldn't even handle Zhang Naipeo alone, let alone Pin Liang who was so powerful. Lin Yi thought as he walked, why were Han Jingjing and Xinyan fine? But no matter how he thought about it, the only explanation was that they both had their own pure qi in their bodies. Perhaps the pure qi he generated through the art of dragon mastery was able to defend against Pin Liang's mad dragon arts. Although it couldn't make Pin Liang submit, it was possible to not be suppressed by him. For the next 2 days, Pin Liang and Naipeo didn't provoke Lin Yi at all. When Lin Yi brought Han Jingjing and Xinyan to the restaurant to eat, they pretended not to see anything. Tai Saw, on the other hand, ignored Xiao Ran as well, as if he'd forgotten who he was. Chapter 3504. In addition, other than Zhong Pingliang and the others, Lin Yi saw a few acquaintances. Song Lingrui came, but she pretended not to know Lin Yi and didn't greet Lin Yi. Bubbly Clan's Thor Ryu also came. He did greet Lin Yi, but under Lin Yi's hint, he didn't get too close to Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi didn't want to be too ostentatious this time. When facing Zhong Pingliang, he also knew when to stop. In fact, from the beginning to the end, Lin Yi didn't make a move. The rest of the sects with inheritors didn't come. It seemed that they weren't with ordinary trial takers. There were also a few disciples of foreign small sects that he didn't know. They didn't talk to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't bother to greet them. No matter how he thought about it, there weren't that many people in the Heaven class trial. Even if Lin Yi reached the ancient level, the number of Heaven class masters was still pitifully small. There weren't many Heaven class masters at the peak of the late phase or the full circle of Heaven class. It was the last day of the trial registration. On this day, nothing happened, and no other trial takers came to register. At night, a voice suddenly rang out in the open space behind the inn. Although the voice wasn't loud, it had a very strong penetrating power. It carried a very strong majesty, causing the hearts of all the challengers in the inn to tremble. All trial takers participating in the Heaven stage trial, please note that the registration time for this trial has ended. Now we will start the registration. All trial takers in the inn, please gather in the open space behind the inn within 5 minutes to accept the registration and inspection of the 5-element sect. No one will wait after the deadline. This voice belonged to ancestor Xianxia, and Lin Yi was very familiar with it. Moreover, he didn't hide his strength at all, revealing the strength of Heaven stage, peak, late stage and great circle. It was actually ancestor Xianxia himself. Lin Yi was somewhat moved. It seemed that the 5-element sect attached great importance to this trial. However, they didn't pay a deposit like the other trials. This made Lin Yi feel somewhat strange. Logically speaking, Kong Mingming had lost so much money previously. Why didn't he take the opportunity to make more money this time? But after thinking about it carefully, those who could participate in the 5-element sects trial were all elites of their respective sections. Moreover, they were here to prepare for the Heavenly Rank meeting and the qualification to enter the Heavenly Rank Island. It was a bit inappropriate to collect money at this time. Moreover, he reckoned that Patriarch Xuanqin's mind was no longer on money. He was going to Heaven Stage Island, so what was the point of having so much money in the secular world? It was still uncertain what kind of currency it would be on the Heavenly Island. One had to know that the higher the level of cultivation, the less useful money would be. Those natural treasures couldn't be measured with money, so it was more common for them to be traded for other treasures. However, when he first participated in other trials, there were very few sect masters who directly shouted for people. Lin Yi had some evil thoughts. Could it be that there was no one else in the 5-element sect? His disciple was killed by him, so Patriarch Xianxia had no choice but to go personally? Thinking about it, Lin Yi still brought Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing to the open space behind the inn. In less than a minute, almost all the trial takers had left the inn and came to the square behind the inn. After all, everyone was a Heavenly Rank expert, so their speed wasn't slow. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, and Wang Xinyan found a relatively clean place and sat cross-legged on the ground. The other trial takers came over and followed Lin Yi's example. They found a place to sit down. Everyone had participated in the trial before and knew the rules. They knew that the rules of the trial must be explained when everyone was gathered here. On a temporarily built high platform in the square behind the inn, Patriarch Xianxia was wearing a bagua robe and stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him stood 3 people. These 3 people were all very familiar to Lin Yi. One of them made Lin Yi very excited. It was actually Tian Chan, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Since the last trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Lin Yi hadn't seen Tian Chan again. He didn't expect her to follow behind Patriarch Xianxia. Could she also be a disciple of the 5-element sect? However, Tian Chan didn't look sideways, as if she didn't notice Lin Yi at all. This made Lin Yi slightly disappointed. Tian Chan was a girl he was very attracted to, but perhaps their relationship stopped at the last trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect. As for the other 2 people, they were Kong Ming and Little 11. These 3 people didn't hide their strength. The strength of the great perfection of the late-stage heaven stage was revealed. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Tian Chan had the strength of the great perfection. However, wasn't Kong Ming and Little 11's speed of advancement a little too fast? Could it be that Kong Ming refined the chi-gathering pills for the couple to consume? Thinking that the 5-element sect must have kept a lot of white energy stones for their own use, it was not surprising that Kong Ming could quickly refine the chi-gathering pills. As long as an alchemist could quickly restore his physical strength and chi, it was possible to refine as many pills as he wanted. However, Patriarch Xianxia was really willing to spend a lot of money. For them, the white energy stones were one less. In the past they were only used to assist in cultivation, but now they were actually used for alchemy. However, Patriarch Xianxia probably didn't care about these things anymore since they were going to Heavenly Island. On the other hand, Little 11 was clearly injured and crippled by Lin Yi, but he could still improve his strength? How did he improve his strength? This made Lin Yi extremely surprised. It seemed that the foundation of the 5-element sect was still very deep, and it was not something that he could understand. Kong Ming's eyes swept across the challengers below, as if he was looking for something. When he saw Lin Yi, his eyes suddenly flashed with excitement and bloody brilliance. This made Lin Yi's heart tighten. The way this guy looked at him was not quite right. Could it be that he was thinking of some dirty tricks to deal with him in the trial? Kong Ming had always been like this. If it wasn't because he had the identity of Patriarch Xianxia's son-in-law, which made him different from those disciples, Lin Yi really couldn't let him stay until now. But now, Lin Yi didn't want to fall out with Patriarch Xianxia before landing on Heavenly Island. Without Patriarch Xianxia, Lin Yi didn't know how to get to Heavenly Island, so he temporarily let Kong Ming stay. And Little 11, who was next to Kong Ming, swept his eyes over to Lin Yi, and his eyes didn't leave Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan. Obviously, he was also full of hatred. However, Lin Yi heard that this Heavenly Island trial was an important event before landing on Heavenly Island. Kong Ming shouldn't destroy him, right? After all, the matter of Heavenly Island was more important than anything else. Chapter 3505. After a while, a minibus slowly drove over. The door opened, and a group of beautiful women alighted from the minibus, causing the eyes of all the contestants to light up. However, no one dared to have any ill intentions because they were all inheritors. Ice Palace's people were Crystal Candy and Xiao. After getting off, they looked at the participants and sat down next to the Xianxia ancestor's platform, much closer to him than the other participants. Lin Yi knew that they were looking at him, and he let out a sigh of relief. Finally, he saw them. Reuniting with the participants, going to Sky Class Island, this was Lin Yi's persistence and hard work, and now that the moment had come, Lin Yi was extremely excited. Snowy Valley's people were Sydney and Tang Yun. Lin Yi had seen these 2 before, and he had an impression of them. But, his impression was that they were very pure and pretty, and Sydney was secondary. As for Tang Yun, Lin Yi suddenly had an indescribable feeling. It was as if the girl he saw in that instant in Snowy Valley was her. Was it her? Probably. It was a very strange feeling, and for some reason, the moment he saw Tang Yun, Lin Yi's heart palpitated. Could it be that this was a special attraction between him and the inheritors? The other inheritors all had a relationship with Lin Yi, and it was a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of relationship, but the one from Snowy Valley wasn't. And now, Lin Yi's feeling towards Tang Yun made him wonder if it was the will of the heavens? Dark Palace's people were Meng Yao and the Grand Elder, and the mist didn't hide it at all. She got off the car and looked at Lin Yi, nodding to Lin Yi and smiling, before sitting down next to Xiao with the Elder on stage. Xiao didn't care if the person on stage was the Xianxia ancestor or not, and started chatting with Meng Yao. This caused Patriarch Xuanqin's expression to turn a little ugly. However, he still had to rely on these inheritors, so he couldn't say much. Wood Elemental Inheritance. Boss Bai and Guan Xian got off the car. Of course, Boss Bai couldn't participate in the trial because his level wasn't high enough. Moreover, he didn't want to go to the Heavenly Island. Wang Xinyan didn't use the remaining Qi gathering pills when she leveled up, so Lin Yi decided to save them for Boss Bai. With them, Boss Bai would be able to break through to Sky Class. He might even be able to reach the consummate level, and it wouldn't be difficult for him to regain control of the Five Elements sect. From the endless West Sea, the person who came was an old woman, and beside her was Yu Ning. This old woman's strength. It seemed like she had no strength at all. She should be an ordinary person, but Yu Ning's strength had shocked Lin Yi. Peak Late Heaven Rank. Great perfection. Lin Yi couldn't help but admire the secret indoctrination of Tantric Buddhism. The world was so big that there were still many talented people. From Fiery Mountain, the person who came was Rocket Cannon and Yushu. Yushu's strength had also reached Peak Late Heaven Rank, Great Perfection, which shocked Lin Yi. However, her situation was very similar to Yu Ning's. It was probably caused by the secret indoctrination of Tantric Buddhism. From Yellow Earth High Sect, the person who came was Tu Qingsong and Tu Ranran. Tu Ranran's strength hadn't reached Great Perfection, only Peak Late Heaven Rank. But even so, one could imagine the strength of these foreign sections. The foreign sects all had some secret methods that could quickly increase the strength of cultivators. This was different from the ancient sects of the Central Plains. Of course, correspondingly, although the speed of improvement was very fast, the price paid was also quite huge. Long ago, a master might have to sacrifice the strength of 2 or 3 masters. This kind of 2 for 1, 3 for 1 situation could only be seen in the foreign lands. The sects of the Central Plains would not do this. These inheritors all got off the car and found a place to sit. The rules of the trial were probably going to be announced soon. Sure enough, when Ancestor Xianxia saw that everyone had arrived, he nodded indifferently and said, "Okay, since everyone is here, then let's begin. First, let me introduce myself. Maybe many of you already know me. My name is Xianxia, the acting sect master of the Five Elements sect, the person in charge of the Heaven Rank trial, the Heaven Rank meeting, and the Heaven Rank Island plan." Ancestor Xuanqin's words made the cultivators below tremble. They were very excited. The Heaven Rank Island, the Heaven Rank Dao, was a higher pursuit for these cultivators. Who didn't want to have higher strength? Some people said that you are already a top existence in the secular world. You can be called a land atomic bomb. Why do you still want to advance? There is a saying that there is no end to learning, and the path of martial arts cultivation is the same. After reaching a bottleneck, there is hope to cross it. This is the lifelong pursuit of the cultivators of my generation. In this trial, there are 2 of my assistants who will help everyone participate in the trial. And one of them is my son-in-law, Kong Ming. Everyone should have seen him before. He is also an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Ancestor Xianxia said. These words surprised the cultivators below. Many people still didn't know Kong Ming's identity. At this moment, when Ancestor Xianxia said it, everyone immediately became cautious. This Kong Ming was someone they had to curry favor with. And the other one is the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Tian Chan. Ancestor Xianxia once again dropped a bombshell and pointed at Tian Chan. The cultivators below looked at Ancestor Xianxia in an uproar. Wasn't the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect a man? How did he become a beautiful girl? Was the rumor wrong, or was he a transvestite? Moreover, wasn't the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect called Heavenly Silkworm Transformation? How did he become Tian Chan? Of course, the ones who were the most shocked were the heirs and their sections. The young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect had more or less gone to the sects of these heirs to propose marriage. But now it seemed that the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect was a woman? Where did the rumor of having many wives and concubines come from? Why did this woman want to propose marriage? Was Ancestor Xianxia lying? As for the fact that the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect is a woman, I was the one who asked them to hide it. The matter of going to the heirs' sects to propose marriage was also arranged by me. As for the specific reason, I will announce it at the heavenly rank meeting. Now your main task is the trial. Don't think about these things for now. Ancestor Xianxia gave a simple explanation and then continued, these two are disciples of my five-element sect. Kong Ming is my disciple, and Tian Chan is my second senior brother's disciple. They are the senior assistants who help me control the trial. Chapter 3506. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Although he did not know why Patriarch Xianxia had arranged this, if there was only Kong Ming as a trial assistant, then he was afraid that Kong Ming would give him a lot of trouble in the trial. This was not what Lin Yi wanted to see, but if Tian Chan was there, Lin Yi believed that Tian Chan would help him no matter what. Most of you are from the major ancient families and sections. I won't go into detail about the danger of the trial. Since you are here, you should be very clear. I believe that even itinerant cultivators understand that the trial is full of danger. If you don't want to die, you can withdraw now. Once you go in, your life and death will be up to fate. Patriarch Xianxia paused slightly when he said this. He glanced at the inheritors and continued, the trial testers are in danger, and the inheritors are also in danger. But what you have to do is to protect the inheritors and not let them be in any danger. Otherwise, everyone will be finished. If the heaven-level island cannot be opened, all the previous efforts will be wasted. Patriarch Xianxia's words caused the trial takers below to fall silent. Indeed, they only had one goal in coming here, and that was to advance to the heavenly way. If something happened to the inheritor, then everyone's dreams would be shattered. Many people still wanted to go to the heaven-level island to show off their skills and look up to those legendary seniors who went to the heaven-level island. If everything was wasted, then they would really regret it. However, thinking about it, everything had risks. As long as everyone did their best, it would be fine. Patriarch Xianxia looked at the expressions of the cultivators below and was very satisfied. This trial was different from the other trials in the past. If something went wrong, everyone would be doomed. But now, it seemed that everyone was taking it seriously. Well, since everyone understands the importance of this trial, then I will talk about the rules of this trial. The duration of this trial is 3 days. It will float for 5 days. This is probably the shortest trial you have participated in. Not bad, you can't hold on for too long, and it is meaningless. As long as you consolidate the inheritor's inherited elemental power, it will be fine. The purpose of the trial will also be achieved. Patriarch Xianxia said, the location of the trial this time is still the Ice Fiend Wilderness that many people have gone to. However, the location of the Fiend Wilderness this time is different. It should be the Fiend Mountain Range. The things that Patriarch Xianxia said were very different from the previous trials. Everyone present listened very seriously. When they heard that it was still training in the Five Evils Savage Wasteland, everyone's expressions became somewhat solemn. Previously, when the Spirit Beast Frenzy broke out, many people nearly died there. If they were to go to the Five Evils Savage Land again, it would definitely be exceptionally dangerous. The destination of this trial. It was the cave of the Five Demons Dragon in the Five Demons Mountain Range. I'm sure all of you have heard of the Five Evils Dragon, right? This is the king of 10,000 beasts of the Five Evils Savage Land. According to this old man's investigation, it has already reached the peak of heaven rank and has a high chance of breaking through to the heavenly Tao. Therefore, all of you must be extremely careful. What you need to do is to lure the dragon of 5 evils out of its cave. Then, let all the inheritors enter the cave. This is because the cave is the spring of the 5 evils chi. After all the inheritors enter, they will absorb the devil chi of their own inheritance attribute to achieve the purpose of strengthening the inheritance. Similarly, the inheritors will resist the remaining 4 types of devil chi and break through the pressure to break through the limit. The inheritors who did not advance to the Great Perfection Realm will also advance in the pressure. This process will last about 2 to 3 days. Until all the inheritors succeed in strengthening the inheritance attribute and advance to heaven-rank Great Perfection Realm. As for the other inheritors, you must remember that you are no match for the dragon of 5 evils. Don't even think about fighting against it or killing it. Your goal is to deal with it and lure it out of the cave. As long as you don't return, you will succeed. At the same time, under the pressure of the 5 evils dragon and the 5 evils aura, those of you who haven't advanced to the great circle of the heaven realm can take advantage of this opportunity to advance. This is a rare opportunity. I hope you don't waste it. In the trial, all the inheritors will listen to Tian Chan's arrangements and orders. All the trial takers will listen to Kong Ming's orders. If you don't listen, you will be disqualified from this trial. Don't even think about landing on Heaven Rank Island. There is no chance. Patriarch Xuanzhen's voice was very strict, causing the trial takers below to be very careful. However, when Lin Yi heard that Kong Mingming would be in charge of the trial, he was a little worried. Kong Mingming had a grudge against him. If he caused any trouble in the trial, Lin Yi would really be unable to guard against it. At that time, if Kong Mingming said that Lin Yi did not cooperate, what would Lin Yi do? However, now that things had come to this, Lin Yi could only put up with it. If Kong Mingming really disqualified him, he might also fight to the death to make all the inheritors leave and stop this plan. Then he would see what Patriarch Xianxia would do. Okay, that's all for the rules of this trial. I'm going to prepare to open the teleportation device. You can communicate privately first. If the inheritors have any questions, you can ask Tian Chan now. If the other trial takers have any questions, you can ask Kong Mingming. After Patriarch Xianxia finished speaking, he left in a hurry. Obviously, he was going to prepare for the inheritors' teleportation to the Five Evils mountain range. It was not possible for the inheritors to enter the Five Evils mountain range naturally. First, there was no way. Second, it was extremely dangerous. It was difficult for them to walk there. Fortunately, the seniors of the Five Elements sect had left a teleportation device. After opening, it could directly send the trial takers and inheritors to the Five Evils mountain range, near the Five Evils Dragon's Cave. After Patriarch Xianxia left, the trial takers all surrounded Kong Mingming. Of course, other than Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo who were a little reserved, the others were almost on their knees. After all, Kong Mingming could be said to have the power of life and death in his hands. If he said pass, then pass. If not, then fail. Isn't this Liang Bro and Pao? Come, let's discuss the division of work after we reach the Five Evils mountain range. Kong Mingming called out to Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo. He wanted to kill Lin Yi, and naturally, he needed these two's cooperation. Chapter 3507. Putting aside the fact that Zhang Naipeo was very useful, Kong Mingming had learned from the Xianxia elder that Pin Liang was possessed by the Mad Dragon Master, so calling him Liang Bro was a more respectful way of addressing him. Pin Liang saw that Kong Mingming's attitude wasn't bad, so he walked over proudly. All right, Brother Kong, tell me. Kong Mingming looked not far away and realized that Lin Yi wasn't coming over, but was walking towards the inheritor instead. He was overjoyed and lowered his voice. Liang Bro, I know that you and Lin Yi are enemies, and I have a way to get rid of Lin Yi. I need everyone's cooperation. The other participants heard Kong Mingming say that he wanted to get rid of Lin Yi, and their faces changed slightly, but then they felt relieved. Since Kong Mingming said it in front of them, it meant that they were on the same side. As long as they stood firmly on Kong Mingming's side and didn't try to get close to Lin Yi, then there wouldn't be any problems in this trial. At least, Kong Mingming wouldn't cause them any trouble. After thinking this through, everyone was very happy. Oh, tell me about it. Pin Liang was actually afraid that the Five Elements sect would interfere with him and Zhang Naipeo fighting Lin Yi. After all, this trial was different from the past, and the main goal was to protect the inheritor, not to be a hero. But now, since Kong Mingming also wanted to fight Lin Yi, the pressure on him was much lighter, and he didn't have to worry about anything at all. When we go to the trial, we just need to do this. Then Liang Bro and Pao, you guys take over at any time. Kong Mingming said. Good plan. Everyone agreed after hearing this. This was simply a great thing to do at the expense of others. They had no reason to disagree. As for Lin Yi, he didn't go to Kong Mingming's place either. Obviously, it wasn't welcomed by Kong Mingming, so Lin Yi didn't bother to give him a cold shoulder. He brought Han Jingjing and Xin Yan to the inheritors. Tian Chan was in the middle of explaining to the inheritors the things to pay attention to when they went to the cave and how to resist the pressure when she felt someone coming from behind her. She turned around and saw Lin Yi. She smiled at him. This instant smile overlapped with the yellow-clothed girl in Lin Yi's memory. Lin Yi took a deep breath and seemed to recall Tian Chan's catchphrase of, kick you. However, what Lin Yi didn't expect was that Tian Chan was actually the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect. At this moment, Lin Yi suddenly understood why the Heavenly Elixir sect's attitude towards him was so ambiguous. Kong Mingming was against him, but the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect seemed to help him often. If the young master was Tian Chan, all of this could be explained. Tian-chan, long time no see. Long time no see, Lin Yi said as he walked over. Yes. Tian-chan responded lightly as if she wasn't very familiar with Lin Yi. Perhaps Tian-chan already knew about the relationship between Lin Yi and the inheritors, so she didn't want to show that she was familiar with Lin Yi in front of them. Or, Tian-chan was just as she said. After parting in the Five Evils Savage Land, I am me, and you are you. Lin Yi took a deep breath and said, I'll leave the inheritors' safety in your hands. The inheritors looked at Lin Yi in surprise. They didn't know how Lin Yi knew Tian-chan. It seemed like it wasn't the first time they met, and they seemed to be very familiar with each other. Lin Yi nodded and looked at the inheritors. Other than those who were familiar with him, Lin Yi's gaze finally fell on Tang Yun. He didn't know why, but Tang Yun seemed to have a special attraction to Lin Yi. This feeling was as if he had seen her in his previous life. It was very mysterious. Tang Yun felt Lin Yi's gaze as well, and her breathing quickened. This was the person she thought about day and night, the person she loved dearly, but she couldn't get to know him. Tang Yun was very happy that Lin Yi was able to grow to his current strength and appear in the Sky Class test. But looking at the beautiful girls around Lin Yi, Tang Yun would be lying if she said she wasn't jealous. Luckily, she'd known most of these people since she was still here. Meng Yao, Yu Shu, Xiao Xiao, Guan Xian. Only Yu Ning and Jiu were new, but she'd talked to Meng Yao before, and she knew that these two were people Lin Yi knew before her, so she didn't have to worry too much about it. Plus, because of Tang Yun's arts, she couldn't have love, so this didn't have much to do with her. She was now a master at the peak of the late phase of Sky Division, and she had not reached the great perfection yet. The stagnation of Heartless formula made Tang Yun a little anxious, and Xueli was even more worried. So when she saw Lin Yi looking at her, Xueli subconsciously coughed twice, hinting Tang Yun to not get back together with Lin Yi. Otherwise, if she couldn't reach the great perfection of Sky Division, everything would be in vain. Tang Yun heard Sydney's cough and knew that she was reminding her, so she didn't raise her head. Lin Yi realized that Tang Yun wasn't looking at him, and Lin Yi could only sigh and leave. Tian-chan was explaining things related to inheritors, and Lin Yi couldn't just sit and listen. What was wrong with him sitting and listening? When Lin Yi walked back, Kong Mingming called out to him. Isn't this Lin Yi, the strongest wandering cultivator under the heavenly Tao? Kong Xiaoming gave Lin Yi so many titles as soon as he opened his mouth. Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. This guy must be up to no good. As expected, after Lin Yi walked over and looked at him, Kong Mingming continued. We discussed it, and since you are the strongest among us, then you will be in charge of luring the dragon of 5 evils out of the cave. After all, whoever is stronger will do the work. Do you have any objections to my arrangement? So he was waiting here. Lin Yi laughed in his heart at Kong Mingming's scheming. Luring the dragon of 5 evils out of the cave was the most dangerous part, and one could die at any time. And this mission, Kong Mingming actually let Lin Yi do it, and at the end, he even said that this was his arrangement, and he asked Lin Yi if he had any objections. It was a blatant threat, telling Lin Yi that if Lin Yi didn't listen to him, he had the right to cancel Lin Yi's qualification to participate in the trial at any time. Chapter 3508. With the Ghost Senior as his trump card, Lin Yi would not be in too much danger. Just me. Lin Yi glanced at Kong Mingming and asked calmly. That's right. We had a meeting just now and unanimously decided that only you are the most suitable. This is the result of a vote. Of course, you can disagree and we can choose someone else. However, since you don't listen to orders, I can only refuse to let you participate in the Heaven Class trial. Kong Mingming said. Do you think it's interesting to say that? Unanimous decision? Who decided? You decided? You decided? Or you? Lin Yi casually pointed at a few trial takers around Kong Mingming and asked calmly. However, these people all lowered their heads. No one dared to look directly at Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was infamous in the ancient times. He killed anyone he didn't like. These people wanted to lick Kong Mingming's boots, but they didn't dare to offend Lin Yi. After all, if Lin Yi really wanted to beat them to death, Kong Mingming wouldn't be able to save them. Lin Yi, don't worry about that. Anyway, are you going to listen or not? Kong Mingming's eyes flashed with anger. He just said that to make it sound more dignified. However, he didn't expect that Lin Yi wouldn't give him any face and directly exposed him. This made him feel embarrassed. If you don't want to go, then please leave. The trial doesn't welcome you. Who said I don't agree? Lin Yi asked calmly. Which ear did you hear that? I'm just questioning it. You. Kong Ming was furious. If you agree, why didn't you say so earlier? You put me on the spot with so much nonsense. He snorted and said, Do you see that? In the trial I am the authority. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. This Lin Yi is the #1 itinerant cultivator under the heavenly Tao. He didn't dare to disobey and spouted a bunch of bullshit. In the end, he still had to obediently submit. Kong Ming was not stupid. He changed a bad thing into a good thing in an instant and said directly, Oh, then I won't give in. I'm leaving, Lin Yi said. He turned around to leave. Quack. Kong Ming was stunned. He didn't expect that Lin Yi would leave so decisively. He didn't know how to deal with it. What a cheap mouth. Lin Yi had already agreed, so why was he still acting tough for the sake of face? Now that Lin Yi was gone, didn't that mean that the plan he'd made was wasted? This made him a little at a loss. He hesitated for a moment and hurriedly said, Don't, I was just joking. Haha, Lin Yi, don't get too excited. You're already here, it would be a pity if you don't join. Oh, since you want me to stay, then I'll reluctantly join. But I regret it. Send me an assistant to lure the 5 malefic dragon. I think he's a good person. What do you think? Lin Yi said. He pointed at Lu Taisho and said. Lin Yi didn't like this kind of two-faced guy. He had chosen to submit after hearing his name, but now he was on Pinliang's side. There was no way Lin Yi would let him go. I think. Kong Ming was in a difficult position. This person was obviously Pinliang's underling. If he made the decision, it would be the same as offending Pinliang. That'd be offending Pinliang, too. He'd said he'd protect the others, and now he'd have to hand one over for Lin Yi. This wasn't the case. Oh, since Lin Yi needs it, then let Lu Taisho go. It's a trial anyway. I think it's normal for him to make a sacrifice. Pinliang was going to cause trouble during the trial, and if Lin Yi left now, who would he deal with? Lu Taisho was an insignificant person, so it didn't matter if he was handed over. Lu Taisho's expression changed. He didn't think that he would be the first to be handed over after joining Pinliang. This made him very depressed. If he knew this would happen, he would have joined Lin Yi. Although he could lure the 5 malefic dragon with Lin Yi, at least Lin Yi would protect him. Now he was just cannon fodder. That. Liang bro, I can't do it. I'm not experienced enough. What if I mess things up? Lu Taisho was a little numb. He didn't want to die. It wasn't easy to come here to participate in the trial, and his goal was to ascend to heavenly Tao, not to die. Since Lin Yi thinks so highly of you, you must have something special about you. Kong Xiaoming naturally wouldn't let Lu Tai saw off the hook after Pinliang agreed. He interrupted him immediately. I think you shouldn't look down on yourself. Let's just do this. Kong Ming made the final decision, and Lu Taisho had no other choice. He knew that he was going to die. He looked at Kong Ming gloomily. I'm withdrawing from the trial. Cancel my registration. I'm not going. Oh. Kong Ming was startled. He didn't expect Lu Taisho to play this trick. But to be honest, whether Lu Taisho went or not had nothing to do with Kong Ming. What he was afraid of was that Lin Yi would be unhappy if Lu Taisho left. It wouldn't be fun if Lu Taisho left as well. Pinliang's expression changed, but Lin Yi raised his hand and punched at Lu Taisho. The 20th form of Frenzy Fist was the strongest form of Lin Yi's normal techniques, but even a normal technique was far stronger than other people's 20 forms. This was equivalent to the 21st form. Even if it hit Lu Taisho, if it didn't kill him, it would at least cripple him. Boom dash, a loud sound rang out, and Lu Taisho was sent flying by Lin Yi's attack. He smashed into the ground not far away, creating a human-shaped crater. He spat out a mouthful of blood, evidently suffering from serious internal injuries. Since he's not a participant anymore, I'll finish him off here. Saves me the trouble of bringing him to the trial. Lin Yi said faintly. Originally, if he had contributed in the trial, I could have spared his life. Since he doesn't want to go, then there's no need to go. Although Lin Yi's words were indifferent, it made everyone present tremble. Lin Yi was too overbearing. He attacked without warning. He really couldn't be provoked. However, Kong Mingming's anger was vented in his heart. Who told Lu Taisho to not listen to orders? Haha, yes, since he doesn't want to participate, then his life and death has nothing to do with our Five Elements sect. Kong Mingming said faintly. Then Lin Yi, who do you need to help you now? No need. I'll do it myself. Lin Yi waved his hand. He glanced at Xiao Ran not far away. He saw Xiao Ran standing at the back of the participants, watching Lu Taisho get beaten up with some excitement. Chapter 3509. Haha, that's good. In that case, let's go to the trial. Kong Mingming also saw the Xianxia ancestor walking over at this time. After the Xianxia ancestor walked over, everyone present immediately quieted down. After all, the Xianxia ancestor was unreachable in their hearts. Although they were all experts at the great perfection of Heaven stage, perhaps only Lin Yi could compete with him. Okay, the teleportation array has been opened. Participants, please follow me. The Xianxia ancestor said. Kong Mingming nodded and led the heirs to follow the Xianxia ancestor to the teleportation array in the distance. This was a large array left behind from ancient times. It was said that it was set up by a formation master, but the formation master had disappeared, and not even a bit of information was left behind. Therefore, no one knew how to set up and repair the array. They only knew how to use it. And this array could only be used a few times. It was said that there was a limit to the number of times it could be used. The Xianxia ancestor made a gesture, and Kong Mingming let the participants enter in a line. They entered what looked like a teleportation tunnel, and then the participants in front of them disappeared. Lin Yi, Xiao Ran, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing were the last to enter before Kong Mingming. After entering the tunnel, everything suddenly became dark, but soon, it became clear. Almost in an instant, Lin Yi arrived at the Five Fiends mountain range. Although Lin Yi couldn't determine where it was in the Five Fiends mountain range, judging from the surrounding environment and the density of the Five Fiends chi here, it must be the Five Fiends mountain range. After taking a deep breath, Lin Yi said to Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan, "You two are here to gain experience. Don't get too close to the Five Fiends dragon." Okay. Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan nodded and said, "Then be careful." "I'll be fine," Lin Yi said indifferently. Then, Kong Mingming came in, and behind him were the heirs and the people from the heir sections. These people were also going to follow the inheritor into the Five Evils Dragon Cave to protect the inheritor. Although Boss Bai wasn't here, Tian Chan was there to protect Guan Xin. When everyone was present, Kong Mingming and Pin Liang led the participants to a safe place to hide. Before they left, Kong Mingming said, "The strongest person under the heavenly Tao will be counting on you later. In order to avoid affecting your performance, we'll hide first. When the time comes, you can lure out the dragon of Five Evils by yourself." Lin Yi sneered. He signaled for Xinyan and Han Jingjing to hide with Xiao Ran. Xiao Ran clearly didn't fit in with Pin Liang's group, so he hid further away. Lin Yi wasn't worried about his character, so he let Xinyan and Han Jingjing hide there. The cave of the Five Evils dragon was a little steep, and Tian Chan and the heirs prepared to hide at the side of the cave. Once Lin Yi lured out the dragon of Five Evils, she'd bring the heirs in. Although what Lin Yi was about to do was a little dangerous, Tian Chan wasn't too worried. After all, she and Lin Yi were on good terms. It wasn't the first time they'd met the dragon of Five Evils, so they were quite familiar with it. Lin Yi made arrangements for Xinyan and Han Jingjing before jumping up. There was still some distance between them and the cave, so Lin Yi couldn't see what was going on inside. He didn't know if the dragon of Five Evils had noticed them or not. The dragon of Five Evils was very intelligent, and it liked to play tricks on people. As a result, Lin Yi wasn't sure if it sensed people coming or not. Was it planning on toying with them later? Tian Chan followed closely behind Lin Yi. She went up the platform, and the other heirs followed behind her, going up the platform. These were the people closest to Lin Yi, so Lin Yi didn't lure out the dragon of Five Evils straight away. He wanted to wait for them to come up and settle down before doing so. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Xiao Xiao all went up, and now it was Tang Yun's turn. She saw Lin Yi, but she couldn't recognize him. She was very conflicted, and when she got to the platform, she slipped and fell. She was a sky class, and wouldn't be injured from falling, but she still jumped in fright. Ah! Lin Yi was watching the heirs go up the platform, and when he saw Tang Yun fall, he subconsciously reached out to grab her, preventing her from falling. It was an unintentional action, but when Tang Yun's hand was grabbed by Lin Yi's heart started pounding. It was a familiar feeling. Feeling the coldness of Tang Yun's hand, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. It was as if they'd held hands in a past life. Lin Yi didn't want to let go. Lin Yi looked at Tang Yun, stunned. Tang Yun's face was red, and her hand was caught by Lin Yi. She couldn't pull it out, but she didn't want to either. Tang Yun wanted time to stop right there. She wanted the world to be left with only her and Lin Yi, and no one else. But she knew that it was just a fantasy, not realistic. She hadn't broken through to full circle, and she couldn't recognize Lin Yi yet. She just had to endure it a little longer. Maybe it would be soon. Ahem. Sydney, who was behind Tang Yun, couldn't help coughing. She didn't want anything to happen to Tang Yun at such a crucial moment. Tang Yun woke up from her thoughts, and subconsciously wanted to pull her hand out from Lin Yi's hand, but the ring on Tang Yun's hand scratched Lin Yi's palm. Lin Yi let go, and saw the ring on Tang Yun's ring finger. Lin Yi was stunned. Usually, a woman would only wear a ring on her ring finger after getting engaged or married, but Tang Yun, as an heir, was wearing a ring. This made Lin Yi a little confused. However, when the ring was reflected in Lin Yi's eyes, Lin Yi's mind went blank, as if something was attacking his brain. Countless memory fragments, at this moment, rushed into Lin Yi's brain. The messy memory fragments instantly filled Lin Yi's brain. The barbecue stall on the food street, the girl under the shade of the tree in the afternoon, the girl who accompanied him back home, the tolerant girlfriend. Lin Yi grabbed Tang Yun's hand once more. Those messy memories slowly formed into a complete set of memories, becoming clearer and clearer in his mind. Those beautiful memories formed a happy love history. Chapter 35:10. Was it his past life? But the time, place, and people were all in this life. This ring left a deep impression on Lin Yi. This was the first time Lin Yi bought a ring in the mall, and he gave it to his first girlfriend. His thoughts seemed to return to the night when he established his relationship with Tang Yun. Tang Yun was kidnapped by Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo, and Lin Yi saved her. It was also that night that Tang Yun's impression of Lin Yi changed drastically. If it wasn't for Zhong Pingliang, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to piece these trivial memories together so quickly. But with Zhong Pingliang's help, it was much easier for Lin Yi. In addition, when he first bought this ring, Lin Yi had a deep impression of it. He bought it at a place called Lu Weishan Jewelry Store, and there was another jewelry store salesgirl who sneered at him. Later, when he went to Lu Weishan to get pure topaz, he felt that the name Lu Weishan was very familiar. It felt like déjà vu, but he didn't remember it at the time. Now it seemed that it was because he had bought the jewelry from the shop. This group of fragmented memories slowly intertwined, and it made Lin Yi remember a lot. But why did Tang Yun go to Snow Valley? Why didn't Lin Yi have this memory? Lin Yi remembered the previous memories, but there was nothing after that. Tang Yun seemed to have disappeared into thin air, directly went to Snow Valley, and left Lin Yi's life. But this shouldn't be possible. Why did Tang Yun suddenly leave? Did someone force her, or did she have no other choice? And why did he forget Tang Yun? It was as if this person had never appeared in his life. Although there were some memory gaps, but before, Lin Yi didn't suspect too much. After all, losing memories was too strange, but now it seemed that it really happened to Lin Yi. And why? He didn't have Tang Yun's memory, and Tang Yun didn't seem to recognize him. Why was it that Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and even Xiao Xiao never mentioned Tang Yun to him? Could it be that everyone had collectively lost their memories? That didn't seem right. It was almost as if Mrs. Tang hadn't lost her memory. Otherwise, why would Mrs. Tang treat her so well? Always giving him good things and helping him time and time again? At that time, Lin Yi was a little confused. He thought that Mrs. Tang was a good person, but when he recalled her personality, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Perhaps Mrs. Tang only treated him this way. Yun Yun. Lin Yi tried calling her name. Tang Yun's body trembled. She raised her head in disbelief and looked at Lin Yi. Did Lin Yi think of something? At this moment, her heart was conflicted. She hoped that Lin Yi would think of her, but she was also afraid that it would affect his cultivation. Yun Yun. You remember me, right? Lin Yi saw Tang Yun's reaction and immediately confirmed that Tang Yun remembered him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such a big reaction. If someone she didn't know called her that, she would only show some confusion. She wouldn't be this excited. Mr. Lin, you've got the wrong person. Tang Yun took a deep breath and said faintly, Lin Yi, please behave yourself. This is the heir of Snowy Valley. Don't touch her, or I won't be polite. Sydney spoke up as well, warning Lin Yi. This was a crucial moment for Tang Yun to break through to sky-class perfection. If Lin Yi disturbed her emotions, it would be a huge sin. Lin Yi looked at Sydney coldly. You think you can threaten me? You can ask Kong Ming Ming. Even Elder Xianxia wouldn't dare to talk to me like this. You. Sydney's breath stopped. Seeing that Kong Ming Ming didn't respond, she couldn't help but feel annoyed. Indeed, with Lin Yi's strength, he was basically invincible under the heavenly Tao. However, Lin Yi's life was saved by Snowy Valley. Thinking of this, Sydney frowned and said to Lin Yi, Young hero Lin, can I have a word with you? Lin Yi didn't want to have a word with her, but looking at Sydney, he didn't want to offend her. After all, her relationship with Tang Yun was not bad. There might be some hidden story, so he nodded and said, All right. Lin Yi followed Sydney to a cliff not far away. Although Kong Ming Ming saw it, he didn't say anything. Lin Yi would die sooner or later anyway. So what if he died earlier or later? Young hero Lin, you must have remembered something, right? Xueli let out a sigh. She knew that the heartless herb's medicinal liquid was effective for ordinary cultivators, but it was ineffective for those who had reached the heaven-level great completion. As long as there was an opportunity, one could recover their memory. Since Lin Yi was already a master of this level, Sydney wasn't surprised that he could remember. That's right. Why is Tang Yun in Snowy Valley? What's going on? I hope you can give me a reasonable explanation. Lin Yi said. Although your current strength is enough to look down on Snowy Valley, I still have to say that you and Tang Yun had a deal with Snowy Valley. I don't want you to break the deal after you have the strength. Xueli said. Although the strong are respected in the world of cultivation, at least we helped you before. Moreover, Tang Yun agreed to the deal willingly. Meng Yao and Yushu were there too, and they didn't object so. All right, tell me what happened. Sydney's words made Lin Yi even more surprised. Meng Yao and Yushu knew about it too? And it was a deal? Tang Yun was willing? Back then, you were possessed and needed the ice spirit fruit, but Meng Yao's family had some problems and couldn't take out that much money. So, Tang Yun accepted Snowy Valley's inheritance at that time, and we used him as a condition to solve the problem for you. Sydney said simply, Don't you remember that you were possessed? Lin Yi fell into deep thought. Indeed, that was the second time he opened the stone door after he returned to West Star Village. He was prepared to use the method on the stone door to refine his body, but in the end, he was possessed. Chapter 35:11. Now that he thought about it, it turned out that he didn't resolve his qi deviation by himself, but Xuegu helped him. So that was how Tang Yun stayed in Xuegu. Thinking of this, Lin Yi sighed. Sydney was right, Xuegu was kind to him, but Lin Yi didn't understand. Tang Yun is already an inheritor, I naturally won't force her to give up. In fact, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Yuning all went to their sects to become practitioners with my permission. What are you guarding against? Why do you want me to forget Tang Yun? What did you do to me? Our Xuegu's mantra is different from other sects. Not all inheritors have the same mantra. Sydney said, Xuegu cultivates the heartless mantra. It needs to be heartless in order to break through to heaven full cycle. Although inheritors don't have any barriers, if their mantra can't break through, it's useless. Our original idea was to let Tang Yun forget you, and then let her cultivate the heartless mantra, but Tang Yun was afraid that you would bear the pain of parting, so she gave you the heartless grass to drink, so you forgot her. This way, she could bear the pain of love alone, and slowly cultivate. Because you forgot her, she didn't think about you anymore, so she could cultivate smoothly. Right now, Tang Yun is only left with the last step. Although you remember her, I hope you won't disturb her and let her smoothly ascend to Heaven Realm Great Perfection. Otherwise, it will affect the entire inheritance plan and the Heaven Realm Island plan. I see. Lin Yi took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, for the sake of the big picture, I cannot disturb her. But once she advances to the great perfection of the Heaven rank, can we recognize each other? Yes. Sydney hesitated, but didn't reject, because she knew that even if she wanted to, Lin Yi wouldn't agree. Lin Yi's question was only out of respect for her. Moreover, Tang Yun had advanced to Heaven full cycle. The next step was to advance to Heaven Dao, and when that time came, it was unknown how she would advance. Therefore, Sydney didn't think too much about it. Okay, Lin Yi replied. He glanced at Tang Yun from the corner of his eyes. He really wanted to hug Tang Yun in his arms. She was such a good girl. In order to not let Lin Yi suffer, she endured the pain herself. Lin Yi really wanted to tell her that he really missed her and that she had suffered during this period of time. However, he had promised Sydney. However, he couldn't do that. Take Tang Yun away. I'm going to lure the dragon of 5 demons. Sydney nodded and walked towards Tang Yun's direction without saying anything. Tang Yun had been waiting anxiously for the result. She didn't know what Sydney and Lin Yi talked about, and she didn't use her sky-class senses. If she did, Sydney would definitely feel it. But, although Tang Yun didn't know what Sydney and Lin Yi talked about, it was obvious that they had come to an agreement. Tang Yun sighed and left with Sydney. The most disappointed were Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao, and Yushu. They were all hoping that Lin Yi and Tang Yun would reunite. Yushu and Xiao Xiao had discussed it, and they were ready to shout, "Together, together, together!" But Sydney and Lin Yi didn't give them that chance. Lin Yi walked towards the Dragon of 5 Demons cave, while Tian Chan organized the inheritors to the side of the cave. He tiptoed into the cave, and Lin Yi realized that the Dragon of 5 Demons already knew what was going on outside. It was staring at the cave, and when it saw Lin Yi, it yawned in surprise. Roar! Why are you here? Why can't it be me? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Why is it always you? The Dragon of 5 Demons asked. Lin Yi was speechless. Do me a favor, give me your cave for a while, and then come out for a walk with me. Let's pretend to fight and fight for 300 rounds. How about that? Boring. The Dragon of 5 Demons shook its head. I've already touched the path of the heavens, and I have time to study it. I don't want to do something boring. Senior Ghost, this Dragon of 5 Demons isn't very obedient. Why don't you come out and teach it a lesson? Lin Yi started to use the tiger's skin as an excuse. If you didn't have a powerful backer, I would have thrown you out long ago. Do you think I would be able to talk to you calmly? The Dragon of 5 Demons was a little depressed. All right, stop looking, I'll cooperate with you. You really have nothing better to do. Heh, actually, I have a presumptuous request. Later, I'll give you some blood, and you'll give me some blood. How about that? Lin Yi asked shamelessly. You're asking for a yard after giving me an inch, aren't you? The Dragon of 5 Demons stared at Lin Yi angrily. Senior Ghost, it won't give it to me. Lin Yi said. What else can you do besides calling for your backer? The Dragon of 5 Demons was even more depressed. All right, I'll give it to you, all right? Thank you. Lin Yi chuckled. In fact, the Senior Ghost was sleeping, and it couldn't care less about something as trivial as Lin Yi's. As long as it wasn't a matter of life and death for Lin Yi, it would normally be in a state of hibernation. It wouldn't even communicate with Lin Yi, let alone teach the Dragon of 5 Demons a lesson. However, the Dragon of 5 Demons didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and the ghost. It was afraid that Lin Yi would really call the ghost out and scare it, so it agreed to Lin Yi's request. All right, let's pretend to fight. I'll be injured, and you give me some blood. Then, I'll pretend to be defeated and run away. When you're done with the cave, I'll come back, the Dragon of 5 Demons said to Lin Yi. Okay. Lin Yi nodded in satisfaction. There was an angry roar, and Lin Yi came running out of the dragon's cave. Behind him was a dragon that was chasing after him. Lin Yi didn't know what Lin Yi had done to offend it, but it looked like it was going crazy. Seeing that the Pentabane dragon had run out of the cave, Tian Chan quickly led the inheritors into the Pentabane dragon's cave. Then, according to Tian Chan's instructions, each of the inheritors occupied a spot in the Pentabane dragon's cave. Then, they began to circulate the mantra and strengthen their inheritance. They also prepared to resist the pressure of the other Pentabane cheese and prepare to break through. Behind them were people from the sect, protecting them. Tian Chan, on the other hand, was there to protect Guan Xin, as well as to coordinate the overall situation. Lin Yi ran out of the cave and led the Dragon of 5 Demons towards Kong Ming Ming. As he ran, Lin Yi shouted, The Dragon of 5 Demons is here. Everyone, prepare for battle. Chapter 35:12. Kong Xiaoming saw Lin Yi's Dragon of 5 Malevolence, and a cold smile flashed on his face. Lin Yi, I've had enough of you. Let's see if you'll die today. I couldn't kill you in the common world, so I had to compromise and force a smile in front of you. But this time you're dead. Don't move, everyone. Lin Yi is the #1 under the Heavenly Tao, the #1 wandering practitioner. Let him handle this on his own. We'll just be causing trouble if we go. Kong Ming smiled coldly at the other participants. All right. Everyone nodded in agreement. This was a great thing. They didn't need to waste any energy. They could just stay here and get experience. Who wouldn't want that? As for Lin Yi's life or death, what did that have to do with them? They all had the same thought, but Xiao Ran, on the other hand, was nervous as he watched Lin Yi. He wanted to jump out and help. Heroines. Will young hero Lin be able to handle it alone? Why don't we go help him? Xiao Ran suggested after some hesitation. It might piss off Kong Ming's group, but he couldn't just ignore it. After all, Lin Yi had stood up for him before. Lin Yi bro should be able to handle it. We don't have to worry. Han Jingjing shook her head. We'll just be causing trouble for him if we go. I see. Xiao Ran blinked, but Xinyan nodded. He didn't say anything else. He was an outsider after all, and these two people close to Lin Yi had said so. He had no choice but to let it go, though he still looked at Lin Yi nervously. Liang bro, we'll stick to our plan. Once Lin Yi loses, you deal with Xinyan, and I'll deal with that Xiao Ran. Leave Han Jingjing for my wife to torture. Kong Ming said. No problem. Zhong Pinliang nodded. It wasn't easy for him to have a chance to turn things around, so he naturally wouldn't let it go. Actually, at the end of the day, the hatred between him and Lin Yi wasn't that big. It was just that small incident at school. It was just that it had been fermented and upgraded step by step to where it was today. Facing Lin Yi had become an obsession. Defeating Lin Yi had become his goal. He refused to accept it. Why were they all classmates? Why was his fortuitous encounter not bad? Climbing to the peak step by step, becoming the ancestor of the everyday sect, how could he not be a match for Lin Yi? Why? He wanted to prove his Tao. He wanted to make a comeback. He wanted to step on Lin Yi and prove that he was the most powerful existence. At the thought, Pin Liang swore to himself. He had to make this trial become Lin Yi's burial ground. However, he watched as Lin Yi and the Dragon of 5 Malevolence fought for a long time without any results. It was as if the Dragon of 5 Malevolence couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. Kong Ming was getting anxious, but he could see that Lin Yi's steps were very precise. Every time the Dragon of 5 Malevolence was about to hit Lin Yi. But Lin Yi dodged it quickly. This wasn't the way to go on. Although Lin Yi's chi would definitely dry up after a long time, the problem was that Lin Yi was a Sky-class full-circle master. Even if he ran here for a month, he wouldn't be able to recover. Even if he ran here for a month, his stamina wouldn't dry up. With that thought, Kong Ming was a little depressed. If he waited for 3 days, the inheritor would have already left. Lin Yi wouldn't be finished by then. If this continued, how could he kill Lin Yi? No, this isn't a solution. Kong Ming said. Liang bro, do you have any good ideas? What else can we do? We can't just help the Dragon of 5 Malevolence attack Lin Yi, right? Pin Liang shook his head. If you think it's possible, then we'll go and attack Lin Yi. That won't work. Kong Ming shook his head. This was a matter of principle. If they didn't control the Dragon of 5 Malevolence and let it return to the cave, disturbing the inheritor or injuring the inheritor, then Kong Ming would have to bear a huge responsibility. However, Kong Ming's eyes lit up after hearing Pin Liang's words. He immediately came up with a plan. We can't help the Dragon of 5 Malevolence attack Lin Yi openly, but we can play dirty tricks in the dark. Play dirty tricks in the dark? Pin Liang paused. That's right, we can kill Lin Yi's woman first, distract Lin Yi, and then he'll be distracted, giving the Dragon of 5 Malevolence a chance. Kong Ming said. That's a good idea. Then, who do we kill first? Pin Liang nodded. To be honest, it was a little shameful to lay a hand on a woman. He was the ancestor of the everyday sect after all, and doing something like that wasn't very appropriate. Let's kill Wang Xinyan first. Leave that Han Jingjing to my wife, little 11, and we'll kill her together. Kong Xiaoming's eyes flashed with viciousness. Lin Yi had made little 11 look like a ghost, and every night when they did it, Kong Xiaoming had to turn off the lights, not daring to look straight at him. All right. Pin Liang nodded and looked at Nai Peo. Pow, I'll leave this woman to you. She'll be a great tonic for you. But, you're already a perfected master, there's not much use to her qi, it's a waste. Haha, it's fine, I'll just treat it as a game. Nai Peo said faintly before walking over to Wang Xinyan. Hey, Wang Xinyan, right? I'm Zhang Nai Peo, and I know you and I have nothing against you, and you're quite pretty, but you're Lin Yi's woman, you know? If you die, you can only blame yourself for finding the wrong man. Ah! Xinyan looked at Nai Peo stunned. You're going to kill me? Nai Peo was speechless. Where did this woman get her sky-class perfected strength from? Why was she no different from a weak girl? He said helplessly, that's right. I'm going to use my practitioner's arts and suck your strength dry. Don't resist if you don't want the pain, or you'll suffer even more. Xinyan paused again. What practitioner's arts are you using? Wasp absorption arts. Nai Peo said proudly. Oh. Xinyan nodded. Then, can I use my practitioner's arts as well? Of course you can, but if you use your practitioner's arts to defend against it, it'll only drain your qi faster. Nai Peo said. Plus, once you use it, you won't be able to stop. Oh. Then, what if I accidentally hurt you? Xinyan nodded, a little nervous. Chapter 35:13. Pow, don't waste time talking to her, just kill her. Pin Liang frowned. All right. Nai Peo nodded without hesitation. Hey, what's so great about bullying a girl? Xiao Ran couldn't take it anymore. I'm telling you, don't be a busybody. I'll kill you if you keep this up. Nai Peo pointed at Xiao Ran as he threatened fiercely. He used to be Pin Liang's follower back in school, and his words were no different from a gangster's. Ah! It had been a while since Xiao Ran heard someone curse at him. He was speechless. Still, he said, the purpose of this test is to protect the inheritor. We're all fighting against the 5 malefic dragon together. It's not a place for some people to vent their anger. Oh, go ahead if you want to fight, I won't stop you. Nai Peo curled his lips. But if you dare try, you'll die. Xiao Ran, let me try. I haven't fought anyone since I broke through to sky class perfection. I want to gain some experience. Xinyan said. Xiao Ran paused, then suddenly remembered that Xinyan was a sky class full mastery as well. He thought she was just a weak girl before. He couldn't help but smile bitterly at the thought, but since Xinyan had already said so, he couldn't really interfere. He nodded. All right, be careful then. I heard that Zhang Nai Peo's practitioner's arts are filled with evil energy. Okay. Xinyan nodded. All right, I'll be careful. Nai Peo was speechless. The ignorant were fearless after all. He didn't know how Xinyan got to sky class perfection, but why did she look like she didn't know anything? She didn't even know how a practitioner tried to do it. They were both sky class perfection, but how could they be the same? The same level, different strength, and different practitioner's arts. Nai Peo started channeling his practitioner's arts, and so did Xinyan. Because she was a woman, Nai Peo didn't want to take advantage of her. He was a eunuch too, after all. Pow, give him a hard one. Pin Liang frowned. Xinyan and Nai Peo were already at each other's throats, but Kong Mingming and Pin Liang were a little surprised. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't seem to be affected by Xinyan's actions at all. He only glanced at her once, and then didn't even look at her again. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't care about Xinyan? That's impossible. That's not realistic. If he doesn't care, why would he bring her along? She didn't care why they had to go against the 5-element sect and the Kong family because of her. If he didn't care, why would he help her raise her strength? Kong Mingming and Pin Liang couldn't figure out what was going on. Therefore, Pin Liang told Nai Peo to give Xinyan a hard one. All right. Nai Peo was planning on using his wasp absorption arts to kill Xinyan, but Pin Liang's words left him with no choice but to change his mind and use the chrysanthemum arts mother and son qi against Xinyan. It was a little cruel to torture a girl, but Nai Peo still had to listen to Pin Liang, and so he decided to torture Xinyan to distract Lin Yi. Put out your hand. Let's exchange palms, Naipeo said to Xinyan. Oh, okay. Xinyan nodded and put out her hand. And so, Naipeo's and Xinyan's hands met. The way the two fought shocked everyone who was watching. Naipeo was acting cool, and Xinyan was acting cute. It didn't look like a normal fight between practitioners at all. It was like they had discussed it beforehand. But, other than Han Jingjing, everyone could see what would happen to Xinyan. She'd die from having her qi sucked dry, and that was a horrible way to die. Even if she didn't die without strength, she'd still be alive. Even if she didn't die, it was still a fate worse than death. Or if Naipeo injected his qi into her, she'd be tortured to the point where she wished she was dead. Either way, it was extremely cruel. Xinyan's and Naipeo's palms met, and Naipeo was fully confident that he would be able to inject his qi into Xinyan. But as soon as he channeled his practitioner's arts, he felt that something wasn't right. Although his true qi had successfully entered Wang Xinyan's body, he was surprised to find that his true qi didn't stop. Instead, it continued to flow into Wang Xinyan's body. What was going on? Naipeo's face paled in shock. Why did it have an automatic qi flow reversal? That wasn't right. The practitioner's arts he was channeling was the wasp absorption arts, and he could only get a small amount of qi into Xinyan's body. It couldn't be flowing like this. His practitioner's arts didn't have this function. What was wrong with it? Xinyan didn't think that her Nanming arts would actually work, and started absorbing qi from Naipeo's body. Xinyan was a sky-class late-phase peak now, and this qi wasn't very useful to her, but it didn't affect her absorption. Naipeo's face paled as he tried to stop the practitioner's arts, but it was just like what he said before. He couldn't stop it at all. In actuality, it was Naipeo's unluck. If it weren't for Pinliang telling him to go hard on Xinyan, he would have used his wasp absorption arts on her already. But the wasp absorption arts and Nanming arts were both derived from the same practitioner's arts, and they were on par with each other. Neither of them could do anything to the other. This meant that no one would be able to absorb the other's qi, and the two would be immune to each other. But now it was different. Naipeo was injecting his qi into Xinyan, and now he was falling for Xinyan's Nanming arts. The pure qi in his body kept flowing into Xinyan's body, and he couldn't stop it even if he wanted to. Naipeo's face was very ugly, but he couldn't do anything about it. Of course, Pinliang and the others didn't know what was going on. They only saw Xinyan and Naipeo exchanging palms, and while Naipeo's face wasn't looking too good, they thought that he was trying his best to neutralize Xinyan's qi. But slowly, they realized that something wasn't right. Xinyan's face had been calm the whole time, but Naipeo's face wasn't right at all. Not only was he pale, but beads of sweat were dripping down his forehead. Chapter 35:14. Naipeo's qi was depleting heavily, and he was gritting his teeth as he tried to fight it off, trying to slow down the absorption and think of a way to escape. He couldn't speak at all, but he didn't want Pinliang to worry. Not good. Wang Xinyan knows the wasp absorption arts as well. Ah! Naipeo's qi leaked out as he spoke, and the defense in his body was broken. The qi rushed towards Xinyan, and not long after, he fell to the ground. Pinliang paused when he heard that Xinyan knew the wasp absorption arts as well, but before he could react, Naipeo was already on the ground. Xinyan was kind and merciful. She didn't kill Naipeo straight away. She knew that Naipeo was an enemy, but she'd never killed someone with her own hands before. She couldn't bring herself to do it. And so, she let Naipeo go, sparing his life. Pow! Pinliang panicked as he ran over and picked Naipeo up, taking out a pill and shoving it into Naipeo's mouth. Naipeo swallowed the pill and rolled his eyes, barely managing to keep his life. Xinyan had been merciful before, but a sky-class late-phase peak using the Nanming arts was too powerful, and she didn't want to do that. Naipeo, on the other hand, couldn't take it, and almost died. But, even with his life, Naipeo had lost all of his strength. He'd become a cripple who wasn't even a golden class. Liang bro, I'm done. Naipeo's face was pale. I can't go to Sky-class Island anymore. What? You're done? Pinliang was shocked. One had to know that Naipeo was an important part of the Sky-class Island. If he were to die, then Sky-class Island wouldn't be opened, and no one would be able to break through to Sky-class. When the time came, he was an important protector for Tagan Dragon, as important as an inheritor. Although Naipeo wasn't here, if Tagan Dragon had been a bit stronger, then this plan might have worked. But the problem was that Tagan Dragon wasn't very strong. Even though he had Patriarch Xuanqian's help and nurturing, he had not yet recovered. He had already smoothly advanced to the great perfection of the Heaven Rank, and could be used as one of the most important pawns in the Heaven Rank Islands plan. But because of his previous injury, although it had healed, Tagan Dragon had lost his sharpness and perseverance. If that was the case, during the process of opening the Heavenly Step Island, there would be a lot of problems. If Tagan Long couldn't hold on, and Naipeo couldn't protect him, then he'd be done for. Pin Liang may have a grudge against Lin Yi, but he was also the Mad Dragon Elder of the Everyday and Everyday sect. He naturally knew how important Naipeo was to this plan. If Naipeo wasn't here, would the Xianxia Elder go crazy? Thinking of this, Pin Liang couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. He didn't expect Xinyan to be able to cripple Naipeo. That's right, this Wang Xinyan knows the wasp absorption arts as well, and she's no weaker than me. Naipeo said seriously. Why yeah, you're courting death. Pin Liang was furious. If the plan was ruined, then they'd all die together. He raised the golden dragon whip in his hand. He was ready to use his strongest technique, Mad Dragon Tail, to kill Xinyan to vent his anger. Wait! Kong Ming suddenly yelled. Pin Liang frowned and looked at Kong Ming unhappily. Assistant Kong, what's the meaning of this? What are you doing? Don't kill her, she's useful. Kong Ming said quickly. What do you mean? It's you who wants to kill her, but it's also you who doesn't. What are you doing? Pin Liang raged. With Naipeo crippled, the Heaven Rank Island plan will be greatly affected. But since Xinyan also knows the wasp absorption arts, she can also absorb the demonic energy in the 5 Malice Chi and protect Tagan Dragon and the other inheritors. Kong Ming said. HM? Pin Liang paused, but it made sense after thinking about it. Zhang Naipeo's role was like that, and so was Xinyan's. It wasn't like he couldn't use Xinyan as a replacement, but that way, the Everyday and Everyday sect would go from being the leader to a subordinate sect, and he wouldn't have anything to do. He regretted listening to Zhao Ming and sending Zhang Naipeo to kill Xinyan. Not only did Xinyan fail, but Zhang Naipeo was the one who'd killed her. All right, I'll keep her alive. But Lin Yi can't be kept alive. Pin Liang was determined as well. He was going to kill Lin Yi himself. Mad Dragon Fury was Pin Liang's ultimate skill, able to force weaker cultivators to submit to him. Of course, it could also force spirit beasts to submit to him. But whether or not it worked on dragons, Pin Liang wasn't sure. He was going to pressure the Dragon of 5 Evils, provoking its rage. The battle between Lin Yi and the Dragon of 5 Fiends seemed intense, but a closer look would reveal that it was more like an eagle chasing a chick. One was chasing, and the other was running. Neither of them seemed to be serious. The Dragon of 5 Evils didn't, and neither did Lin Yi. As such, Lin Yi could maintain his chi until the Inheritor's blessing ended, and there wouldn't be any results. If he wanted the Dragon of 5 Evils to kill Lin Yi, he had to make it angry. Spirit beasts like this had a temper, and it was fine if you didn't piss it off, but once you did, it would retaliate like a storm. And so, Pin Liang decided to pressure the Dragon of 5 Evils a little, provoking its rage and letting it kill Lin Yi. The Dragon of 5 Evils was a type of dragon, but it was a mutated one. It wasn't a real dragon anymore, and so Pin Liang was confident in pressuring it. After all, he was the real dragon's practitioner's arts. Mad Dragon Fury. Dragon Totem. Pin Liang took a step forward and yelled. The whip was like a raging dragon, flashing with a golden light as it lashed at the Dragon of 5 Demons. The head of the whip was like a dragon breathing fire, and even the thick skin of the Dragon of 5 Demons couldn't help but feel like it was being barbecued. Pin Liang took a step forward and roared. Pin Liang roared, and the image of a dragon totem appeared behind him. For double insurance, Pin Liang used Mad Dragon Fury and the Dragon Totem at the same time, aiming to make the Dragon of 5 Evils submit. Chapter 35:15. The dragon only looked like a dragon. Perhaps it had some ancient genes in it, but it wasn't a dragon. It couldn't fight against Pin Liang's Dragon Totem at all. It wasn't willing, but there was nothing it could do. This wasn't just the fear of the Dragon Totem, it was also the natural pressure of the spirit beasts. It was too strong, and it couldn't fight back. Ha 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 ha. Pin Liang laughed maniacally. As far as he was concerned, the Dragon of 5 Fiends wouldn't have a high IQ after being pestered by Lin Yi non-stop. Pin Liang assumed that the Dragon of Five Fiends would feel humiliated after being pressured, and would attack Lin Yi in a frenzy. Lin Yi didn't understand what was going on. What was Pin Liang trying to do? Was he trying to help him? After seeing Nai Peo crippled by Wang Xinyan, was he trying to get on his good side and help him fight the Dragon of Five Evils? It wasn't very likely, but this was a good chance for Lin Yi to cover up. He and the Dragon of Five Evils had discussed this before, and they were going to find a chance to pretend that the Dragon of Five Evils couldn't win and let Lin Yi stab it to get some of its blood. But right now, Lin Yi was running in front, and the Dragon of Five Evils was chasing from behind. Lin Yi didn't have a chance to counterattack. If he cheated, it would look too fake, and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do it. This was a golden opportunity. Lin Yi saw the Dragon of Five Evils lying on the ground, and quickly took out a small knife and bottle from his jade space. He stabbed the dragon's leg and let out some blood, filling up the bottle. Roar! The Dragon of Five Evils pretended to be in pain and roared. Pin Liang was stunned as well. He didn't expect this. Lin Yi was stabbing the Dragon of Five Evils with a knife? Was Lin Yi trying to slay a dragon? Was he trying to defy the heavens? It was already good enough to fight the Dragon of Five Evils, but slaying a dragon was just a pipe dream. But this was good too. Pin Liang was worried that the Dragon of Five Wrath wouldn't get angry. Not only did it get pressured, Lin Yi even gave it a stab. It wouldn't be the king of spirit beasts if it didn't go on a rampage. You won't die if you don't court death. If you hadn't stabbed him, you might not have died. Now that you've stabbed him, you're going to die. That would be death for sure. However, the Five Evils dragon's skin was really thick and tough. When Lin Yi stabbed it with his saber earlier, the Five Evils dragon's skin was really thick and tough. He had already used the full power of the peak late stage of heaven rank and only managed to make a small wound. This was not a beast that ordinary cultivators could deal with. At the thought of this, Zhong Pingliang quickly stopped the circulation of violent dragon power. Because Lin Yi was still within close range of the Dragon of Five Evils. Once this pressure disappeared, Lin Yi would probably be sent flying with a single slap, right? Wah! After Zhong Pingliang stopped, he looked at Lin Yi proudly, imagining Lin Yi being tortured to death by the Dragon of Five Evils. However, the scene he imagined didn't happen. The Dragon of Five Evils stood up. It didn't attack Lin Yi, but with a whoosh. Instead, it turned around and attacked Zhong Pingliang, who was standing not far away. Ah! Zhong Pingliang jumped in fright. He didn't expect the Dragon of Five Evils to attack him instead of Lin Yi. He was scared out of his wits and quickly ran away. And so, the Dragon of Five Evils that was chasing Lin Yi became chasing Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was depressed. What the hell was going on? The Dragon of Five Evils didn't look very smart. How could it tell that the pressure came from him? And even if it came from him, Lin Yi had stabbed it before. It didn't retaliate against Lin Yi, who was closest to it, but it pounced on Zhong Pingliang, who was not far away. It was unbelievable. But Zhong Pingliang had no choice. How could he reason with it? There was no way to reason with him. Moreover, he did not dare to continue using the Violent Dragon Divine exercise. Although the Violent Dragon Divine exercise was effective against experts under Heaven Stage Great Circle, and it was not weak against the Five Evils dragon, but when he used the Violent Dragon Divine exercise, the consumption of his physical strength and true chi was quite large. If he kept using it, then his physical strength and true chi would be quickly exhausted. What if he ran out of chi? Wouldn't he be attacked by the Dragon of Five Evils? Without chi, he wouldn't be able to run even if he wanted to. The pressure of violent dragon power was used to attack during the pressure, but the Dragon of Five Evils was suppressed. Even if it attacked, what use would it be? Who could do anything to it? Didn't they see that Lin Yi, the number one under Heavenly Tao, used all his strength and only managed to make a small wound? This Dragon of Five Evils couldn't be dealt with at all. The elder Xianxia had told him so before. If he couldn't deal with it, then what use was the pressure? Right now, Nai Peo was still crippled. If he hadn't been crippled, he could have asked Nai Peo to try and see if he could use his wasp absorption arts to suck all the chi out of the dragon's body, making it drop to below golden class. But Nai Peo couldn't try it out, and Zhong Pingliang was left alone. Assistant Kong, send someone to help me. Pin Liang was sweating profusely. He didn't have Lin Yi's exquisite footwork, and so Lin Yi fighting the Dragon of Five Evils seemed like a joke. But if it was him, he'd be in grave danger. One moment of carelessness and he'd be hit by the dragon of 5 evils' claws. Kong Ming was hesitant as well. He couldn't decide if he should help Pin Liang or not, because things had deviated from their original plan. They'd wanted the dragon of 5 evils to deal with Lin Yi, but now, it had abandoned Lin Yi and only chased after Pin Liang. Now, if they were to help, it'd mean that they'd be fighting together, and it'd be impossible to kill Lin Yi. Lin Yi, why aren't you helping? Don't you want to help? Kong Ming rolled his eyes and called out to Lin Yi. I've been working hard all this time, and I'm tired. I need to rest. Lin Yi said faintly. If you don't help, I'll assume that you're not stopping. Kong Ming said. Oh, all right, I'll give it a try. Lin Yi nodded, smiling coldly in his heart. You've forced my hand. I wasn't planning on attacking Little 11 in the test, since everyone was targeting the dragon of 5 evils. If Lin Yi had targeted Little 11 alone, it'd be too obvious. But now, it seemed like Lin Yi wasn't planning on letting Little 11 go. If Kong Ming wasn't being nice, then Lin Yi couldn't blame him. Chapter 35:16. Roar! The dragon of 5 evils roared at Lin Yi as if it was annoyed, but Lin Yi knew it. Lin Yi ran and pretended to chase after the dragon of 5 evils. At this time, the dragon of 5 evils seemed to be a little afraid of Lin Yi. Seeing the dagger in Lin Yi's hand, it didn't dare to get close. What the hell was going on? Wasn't the dragon of 5 evils chasing Lin Yi? Why was it Lin Yi chasing the dragon of 5 evils now? This dragon of 5 evils was so cowardly. Was it afraid of Lin Yi after being stabbed? But he had been suppressing it for a long time. Why was it not hurt at all? It even dared to chase after him? Pin Liang thought gloomily. However, he was afraid of the dragon of 5 evils. Naturally, he ran towards Kong Ming, where there were more people. This saved Lin Yi the trouble of pretending to chase after him. Kong Ming was shocked and quickly said to everyone, "Get ready to fight." As soon as he finished speaking, the dragon of 5 evils suddenly sped up and rushed in front of him. Fortunately, Kong Ming was a cunning person. As soon as he finished speaking, he dodged and the dragon of 5 evils grabbed Little 11, who was next to Kong Ming. Ah! Little 11 exclaimed. She didn't expect the dragon of 5 evils to come so suddenly. Kong Ming, save me! In fact, even if Kong Ming didn't run, the dragon of 5 evils wouldn't have caught him. It was following Lin Yi's order to catch Little 11. But Kong Ming didn't know that. He was shocked when he saw Little 11. Luckily he ran fast, or else he would have been caught. Save Little 11? Kong Ming wouldn't do anything. Previously, he had concocted pills for her because the 5-element sect had enough energy stones to replenish his physical strength and true qi, so he could concoct pills indefinitely. Moreover, he didn't have to spend any money on the materials. He wanted to curry favor with ancestor Xianxia while he was at it. But to ask him to risk his life to save the 11th? What a joke! Kong Ming didn't dare to do it. But on the surface he still shouted, "Hey! That dinosaur! Let go of that heroine!" The dragon of 5 evils glanced at Kong Ming coldly. Roar! Kong Ming was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. Little 11 looked at Kong Ming's cowardly appearance and suddenly felt a little desperate. Her breathing became a little rapid as she struggled to say, "Kong Ming, quickly ask them to save me. If I die, my father, Patriarch Xianxia, will not let you off. Everyone, let's go together. Rush up and kill the dragon of 5 evils." Xiaoming roared and turned to Pin Liang. "Liang bro, hurry up and give the 5 malefic dragons some more pressure. Make it let Little 11 go. My physical strength and true qi are almost used up. The pressure won't last long." Zhong Pingliang said, "I can only do it for 30 seconds at most. Otherwise, it will affect my physical strength and true qi." No matter what, Zhong Pingliang still gave face to Kong Ming. After all, he was the son-in-law of the 5-element sect's patriarch Xianxia. Zhong Pingliang couldn't ignore him. However, as soon as Zhong Pingliang finished speaking, the dragon of 5 evils seemed to be able to hear him. It directly raised its front claws and suddenly spun a few times in the air. Whoosh! It was thrown in Han Jingjing's direction. Ah! Little 11 was sent flying. To be honest, she only had a body full of levels, but she had no strength. She was a cripple whose meridians were all damaged. Even though she had increased her level, her body could not store up the physical strength and true qi, so she could not use the mantra. To be honest, her lifespan could be extended indefinitely. She was similar to Zhang Naipeo now. She still had the level, but she had no strength. Her real strength wasn't even at golden class. So her head went straight into the soil. There was no protection at all. Half of her body in the soil was unknown. Wah! There's a monster. Han Jingjing suddenly had 2 silver needles in her hands. She directly inserted them into little Eleven's legs. Originally, Han Jingjing wanted to insert herself in the middle. But she still didn't do it. She was not a vicious person. Although little 11 was very cruel to her in the past, it was impossible for Han Jingjing to be the same as little 11. Han Jingjing directly burned the silver needles with 2 elixir flames. Little 11's legs immediately trembled. Obviously, she wasn't dead. She was still alive. The high temperature of the Dan fire passed through the silver needles to the meridians under her feet. Especially since her meridians were broken, it spread directly through her body, causing her unbearable pain. What are you doing? Kong Ming was a little angry. Pin Liang, on the other hand, didn't use mad dragon arts anymore. After all, little 11 had been thrown out. There was no need for him to waste his energy. There's a big monster here with a head like a leg. Jingjing is so scared. Han Jingjing said in a trembling voice. You! Kong Ming was furious. He laughed coldly. I wanted little 11 to kill you personally, but I don't think I need to keep you alive anymore. Go to hell. You should be happy to die under my ultimate move. With that, Kong Ming took a step forward. He put his hands together and pushed out, activating his strongest move, Dan Firebomb. Boom dash, a fireball flew towards Han Jingjing's head. This was the ultimate move that Elder Xianxia taught to Kong Ming. He had been preparing to use it against the Dragon of 5 Malefic, but he didn't expect to use it on Han Jingjing. This was a move that wasted a lot of energy, but at this moment, Kong Ming didn't care so much. However, at this time, the Dragon of 5 Malefic didn't feel the pressure of Pin Liang's mad dragon arts. After throwing little 11 away, it ran towards little 11 again. When it reached him, it stretched out its front claws and pulled little 11 out of the ground. Boom dash at this moment, Kong Ming's Dan Firebomb flew over. Kong Ming had calculated that the Dan Firebomb would pass above little 11's legs and hit Han Jingjing's head. However, the Dragon of 5 Malefic happened to pull little 11 out, so the Dan Firebomb hit little 11's abdomen, blowing a huge hole in it. Little 11 let out a blood-curdling screech, and the 5 Banes dragon happened to raise its front claws in the air. As a result, little 11's upper and lower body were only connected by a layer of skin and flesh, and his bones had already been shattered. Thus, after just 2 swings, little 11's upper body was sent flying. Chapter 35:17. The Dragon of 5 Evils also looked at little 11, who only had half of his body left in his claws, and then he curled his lips and threw little 11's 2 legs directly at Kong Ming. Kong Ming was dumbfounded at this moment. He didn't expect his alchemic firebomb to explode on little 11's body. Then he saw little 11's upper body fly away, and he was even more frightened. Although little 11 was killed by the Dragon of 5 Evils, he should be considered an accomplice. He was the one who shot out the alchemic firebomb. After returning, would the Xianxia ancestor blame him? What should he do? Bang! Little 11's 2 legs smashed on Kong Ming's head, and it immediately made him even more dizzy. What should he do? Little 11 would definitely die. But now, how should he deal with the Dragon of 5 Evils? Kong Ming was a little regretful. Wasn't he a scumbag? Why did he let Zhong Pingliang pressure him for no reason? He just let Lin Yi and the Dragon of 5 Evils run around in circles. Now, not only was little 11 dead, but the Dragon of 5 Evils was also not going to let it go. Fuck! Kong Ming stood up and ran. After killing little 11, the Dragon of 5 Evils did not attack Han Jingjing, but turned to run towards Kong Ming. Fortunately, Lin Yi did not kill Kong Ming in time. Killing little 11 was basically the limit that the Xianxia ancestor could bear, but if even Kong Ming was killed, then the Xianxia ancestor would probably go crazy. Lin Yi did not want to affect the opening of Heavenly Island, so he temporarily let Kong Ming stay. Thus, Lin Yi was relieved. In the next time, it was the Dragon of 5 Evils chasing Kong Ming and Zhong Pingliang. Sometimes it chased Kong Ming Ming, and sometimes it chased Zhong Pingliang. Often when they were about to be caught, it would change targets, let them rest, and continue to chase after them. Gradually, Kong Ming Ming and Pinliang understood as well. The dragon was toying with them. However, was the wisdom of the 5 demons dragon really that high? Hey, dragon of 5 evils. Can you stop for a moment? I really can't take it anymore. For the past 2 days, Kong Ming Ming had been tormented miserably. Instead of attacking others, the dragons of 5 evils chased after him. Of course, whenever he was exhausted, the dragon of 5 wrath's target would become Pinliang, and when Pinliang couldn't take it anymore, it would switch to Kong Ming Ming. The cycle would repeat itself over and over again, leaving him helpless. The other trial takers also saw this clearly, so they were naturally happy to be at ease. They all ran to the side and hid, not participating in the fight with them. They just stood at the side as if it had nothing to do with them. Anyway, the dragon of 5 evils was just toying with them. No one would die, so why did they have to stand up for them? Moreover, even if he forcefully stood up for them, that required strength as well, and they didn't have the strength to do so. The dragon of 5 evils had thick skin and flesh, and was just one step away from understanding the heavenly Tao. It was about to become a spirit. This kind of spirit beast wasn't something that human cultivators like them could fight against. Moreover, didn't they see it earlier? Lin Yi was such a powerful existence. But in the end, Lin Yi used the strength of a great perfection late-phase heaven class, and all he did was leave a small wound on the dragon of 5 evils. Even if they attacked together, they would probably be exhausted to the point where they wouldn't be able to cause any substantial damage to the dragon of 5 evils. Kong Ming Ming had been running for a day and a night, and just as he recovered some strength, he was chased by the dragon of 5 evils again. He was about to go crazy as he cursed, "Dragon of 5 evils, fuck you!" Roar. The dragon of 5 evils understood, and quickened its pace. It used its claws to catch Kong Ming Ming, and then said to him, "I'll turn you into a mud horse first." With that said, the dragon of 5 evils swung its front claws, and with a whoosh, Kong Ming Ming was smashed into the ground, just like Little 11. Kong Ming Ming thought that after the dragon of 5 evils threw him over, he could just play dead for a while. But he didn't expect to hear rumbling footsteps coming from behind him as soon as he entered the ground. This sound was so shocking. It was obviously the footsteps of the dragon of 5 evils. Kong Ming Ming turned pale with fright. He wasn't Little 11, he could use his strength and chi, and the ground was quite soft. He used a bit of strength to jump out of the ground, and when he raised his head, he saw the dragon of 5 evils right in front of him, ready to slap him with its claws. Kong Ming Ming jumped in fright, and hurriedly sped up, dodging the attack, but the dragon of 5 evils didn't seem to have any intention of letting him go, and continued to chase after him at full speed. Kong Ming Ming didn't have a choice, and he smiled bitterly in his heart. This dragon of 5 evils was not only intelligent, but it could also understand and speak human language. This meant that the dragon of 5 evils had heard Kong Ming Ming and Zhong Pingliang's plan. No wonder the dragon of 5 evils didn't target anyone else, but only the 2 of them. Finally, Kong Ming Ming couldn't take it anymore, and he knelt on the ground, panting like a dying dog. The dragon of 5 evils stopped in front of him, looked at him, and didn't attack him. Instead, it ran towards Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was sitting on the ground with Zhang Naipeo, recovering his qi. He was the same as Kong Ming Ming, relying on high-level pills like the Qi Recovery Pill to recover Qi. In the 5 Evils Wild, this kind of Qi couldn't be used for training. Naipeo, on the other hand, was absorbing the 5 Malice Qi to train, but while he could absorb it, his training speed was simply too slow. He hadn't even stepped into Golden Class yet. He even wanted to find a few people to use the Wasp Absorption Art to absorb Zhen Qi, but the Wasp Absorption Art could only be used at the Profound phase, and it also had side effects. He couldn't keep absorbing Zhen Qi, and he had to have enough time to absorb it every time. Only at Sky Class would he be able to absorb other people's Qi as he pleased. This was much weaker than the Nanming Divine Art. Of course, from a Sky Class perspective, the two were about the same in terms of strength and effect. And so, even if Zhang Naipeo wanted to find someone to absorb Qi from, he'd have to wait until he was at Mystic Class. He couldn't even step into Golden Class right now, and the Sky Class Island plan was right in front of him. At this rate, Zhang Naipeo wouldn't be able to make it in time. This made him depressed. One had to know that he'd put in a lot of effort to reach Mystic back when he was at Golden Class. He didn't have Lin Yi's jade space, and he didn't have the art of dragon mastery. Once he lost his strength, he'd lose all his advantages, and he'd basically be a cripple. Chapter 35:18. Even if he was Pinliang's follower, the everyday sect couldn't focus all their resources on him now that he was no longer an important figure in the Sky-class island project. Pinliang stood up and continued sprinting, the dragon of 5 fiends chasing after him. But after a while, Pinliang decided to pull a trick. It was too tiring to keep running like this, and so he pretended to fall to the ground from exhaustion. After he fell, he waited for the dragon of fiends to turn around and attack Kong Ming. Kong Ming paused when he saw Pinliang fall. How did he manage to hold on for so long? But then he realized that Pinliang was playing a trick. He was trying to slack off. Kong Ming was pissed off. Was the dragon of fiends going to attack him again? Why hadn't he thought of this before? But just as Kong Ming was getting angry, he saw that the dragon of fiends didn't turn around to attack him. Instead, it reached out with its claws and grabbed Pinliang, roaring, "Don't play dead!" If Kong Ming could see the problem, how could the dragon of fiends not? The dragon of 5 fiends swung its claws, and with a swoosh, Pinliang's upper body was buried in the mud. Pinliang wanted to cry. He was trying to slack off, but he got attacked instead. Startled, he quickly crawled out of the mud and continued to run. He did not want to be hit like that again. Pinliang wanted to curse at the dragon, but he held it in. Cursing the dragon was fun, but his whole family was going to be cremated. Look at Kong Ming. Wasn't that the case? His wife was dead, and he almost died as well. This wasn't something he could just curse at. He had no choice but to run for his life. He knew that the dragon of fiends was messing with him, but he had to run. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The 5 Evils dragon had lost interest in playing. The inheritors had been in its cave for a long time. If they stayed any longer, they wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. The 5 Wrath dragons saw the inheritors coming out of the cave, and gave up on chasing Kong Ming and Pinliang. It hurriedly returned to its cave, disappearing without a second glance as it passed by the inheritors. This caused everyone present to be extremely puzzled. This dragon of 5 evils was truly strange. He actually turned a blind eye to the inheritors' actions of occupying his nest. Kong Ming and Pinliang fell to the ground, panting heavily. It was too tiring. They had been running non-stop for 3 days. It was as if the two of them were fighting against the dragon of 5 evils. But who could they blame? They wanted to harm Lin Yi, and their little tricks incurred the wrath of the dragon of 5 evils. But now, it was finally over. Kong Xiaoming looked at the inheritors and stood up. "Young Master Tian, I've been waiting for a long time. How are the inheritors on your side? Did they all use the inheritance and successfully break through to perfect perfection?" Snow Valley's elder Tang Yun didn't break through to perfect perfection, but the others are fine. Tian Chan felt slightly regretful. Among the inheritors, only Tang Yun failed to break through to perfect perfection. She probably wouldn't be able to try in a short period of time. If she forced herself to try, she might go berserk and cause more damage to her body. So she had to leave this place first. Tang Yun failed. Kong Ming laughed coldly in his heart. Lin Yi might be strong, but his girlfriends were also trash. He looked at Tian Chan and felt slightly regretful. If he had known that the young master of Sky Silkworm sect was a girl, then he wouldn't have pursued Little Peach at all. Why would he pursue Little 11? As long as he went to lick Tian Chan's boots, maybe Tian Chan would really like him. At that time, he would become the son-in-law of the Sky Elixir sect, and he would still be successful. Although it was not bad now, and he could get the Xianxia ancestors' care, Little 11 was far worse than Tian Chan. Sigh, the past was unbearable. Kong Ming didn't want to stay here any longer. He was afraid that the dragon of 5 evils would return to the cave and come out again. As for whether Tang Yun broke through or not, in Kong Ming's eyes, it didn't matter much anymore. Zhang Naipeo was crippled, and one less inheritor wasn't a big deal. These headaches would be solved by the Xianxia ancestor when he got back. He couldn't solve it. Temporarily failed. "I'll think of something when I get back. How's your side?" Tian Chan asked faintly. Lin Yi looked at the familiar yellow-clothed girl in front of him. It was hard to connect her with the beautiful girl he met in the 5 Evils Mountains. At that time, Tian Chan was a cute little girl, But now, Tian-chan was the cold and arrogant young master of the Sky Elixir sect. But Tang Yun failed to break through to perfection? This surprised Lin Yi, but he could think of something when he got back. On my side, all the participants broke through to perfection under the pressure of the five evils qi, but Zhang Naipao was crippled. Kong Ming was a little depressed. Let's go back and see how he can recover. Ah! Tian-chan paused as well. She knew how important Zhang Naipao was, but she didn't expect him to be crippled as well. This wasn't going to be good. But the most important thing now was to leave this place. And so, Tian-chan said, activate the portal. You take the participants out first, I'll bring up the rear and escort the heir. Alright. Kong Ming couldn't wait to leave this place. He was overjoyed to go first. Following the method the Xianxia elder taught him, Kong Ming activated the portal in the Five Evils Mountains. Then he took the lead and rushed into the portal, ignoring everyone else. Behind him, Pinliang and Naipao followed closely, and the rest of the heirs left one by one. Lin Yi let Han Jingjing and Xinyan leave first. He was going to wait for Tian-chan and the heirs to leave before he left. These heirs were his closest people, including Tian-chan. She had a complicated relationship with Lin Yi, and so Lin Yi wanted to escort them out. Meng Yao, Xiao, Yushu, Yuning, Guan Xian, and Little Nine all looked at Lin Yi as they left. Only Tang Yun had her head lowered, as if she had a lot on her mind. After these people left with the others from the sect, only Lin Yi and Tian-chan were left. Chapter 35:19. Damn, if you wanted to kill me, you didn't have to help me a few times before. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Right, what's going on with Tang Yun? Tang Yun? Your girlfriend? Tian-chan asked. Aren't you my girlfriend? Lin Yi smiled. Kick you. Tian-chan glared at Lin Yi. Do you think I don't know that those inheritors are all your girlfriends? I didn't say it wasn't. Lin Yi said. I mean, aren't you the same? Don't talk nonsense. Tian-chan snorted. Here. I'm Tian-chan. When I go back, I'm Sky Silkworm transformation. We can't. Tian-chan suddenly sighed. Actually, there are some things that are meaningless if they are said out loud. It's fine as long as everyone knows it in their hearts. You're not going to Heaven Island? Lin Yi suddenly asked. Tian-chan was slightly taken aback. Maybe. But so what if I go? It's not like I won't come back. Lin Yi wanted to say that he should go to Heaven Island to be gay, but he didn't say it after thinking about it. Tian-chan obviously had a lot of concerns. She had her identity and life. Even if she went to Heaven Island, it was not like she wouldn't come back. However, how many of those who went to the Heavenly Island came back? It seemed that those who went to Heaven Island were never heard from again, right? However, Lin Yi didn't say anything. Everything could only be left to fate. The two of them left the teleportation portal one after another, but it didn't attract much attention because Patriarch Xianxia was dumbfounded at this moment. He listened to Kong Ming's narration and almost fainted. Father-in-law. Master, you must hold on. Kong Ming was about to faint when he saw Patriarch Xianxia. He was shocked. Patriarch Xianxia had been guarding near the teleportation portal, so he naturally didn't know that little 11th soul jade tablet had shattered. Why yeah. Lin Yi. He and I are irreconcilable. Patriarch Xianxia roared in grief and indignation. Almost all of his disciples had died in the hands of Lin Yi. This hatred was absolutely irreconcilable. Fortunately, Kong Ming was not dead. He had really gone mad. Fortunately, you're fine. If something had happened to you, I would have really gone all out against Lin Yi. But now, those inheritors are all related to him. Even if I kill him, I can't shed all pretense of cordiality. Patriarch Xianxia was a formidable figure after all. He quickly regained his composure. As the head of the Five Elements sect, he still kept the tradition of the old days. His daughter was just a woman, and it didn't matter if she died. However, Kong Ming was his last disciple, and he was so mean. This was very much to his liking. He had already prepared for Kong Ming to inherit his mantle. He wanted Kong Ming to inherit the position of the head of the Five Elements sect, or to carry forward the Five Elements sect after going to the Heaven Stage Island. The patriarchal thought and the idea of inheriting the mantle. This made Patriarch Xianxia value Kong Ming, his only personal disciple, even more. Therefore, Kong Mingming was fine. The balance between him and Lin Yi would not be broken, and Lin Yi also saw this clearly, so he spared Kong Mingming's life. I understand. I can't do it now, but master, don't worry. Even if I go to the Heaven Stage Island, I will find a way to kill him. Kong Mingming grinned hideously. Well, I know what you're capable of. Patriarch Xianxia nodded. You don't have to worry about anything when little 11 goes. After going to the Heaven Stage Island, if possible, find a way to get close to a dock. It would be great if you can get married. As long as you can carry forward the 5-element sect of my Xianxia branch, it doesn't matter what you do. Father-in-law, aren't you going to the Heaven Stage Island? Even if I go to the Heaven Stage Island, you are my backer. Kong Mingming said. The Heaven Stage Island. You and I may not be together. Moreover, why are we going to the Heaven Stage Island? Isn't it to pursue the way of heaven and cultivate to become a perfected immortal? Our strength is at the full circle of the Heaven Stage, and there is a big gap between us and the way of heaven. The people there may be stronger than us. Patriarch Xianxia seemed to know something. Father-in-law, you seem to know about the Heaven Stage Island all of a sudden? Kong Mingming raised his head and asked curiously. Before, the Xianxia ancestor didn't know much about the Heaven Stage Island, so he didn't say much to Kong Mingming. But from what he said today, it seemed like he knew something new. That's right, I know something, but it's not the right time to tell you yet. Patriarch Xianxia said. When the Heaven Stage Conference is held, I will announce it to everyone. That's good. Kong Mingming nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Right, those who went with you, did they all successfully advance to the full circle? Patriarch Xianxia asked. They all advanced. The pressure of the 5 evils chi there is really nothing to hide. It's too powerful. Kong Mingming nodded. In fact, he admired Zhong Pingliang the most. He could actually advance and break through while resting. But thinking about it, it was normal. After his physical strength was exhausted, and then under the pressure of the 5 malice chi, it was hard not to break through. But Zhang Naipeo is crippled. Although he can cultivate back, I'm afraid it won't be possible for a while. Didn't you say that Wang Xinyan can be replaced? Let's talk to Lin Yi. It should be enough. Patriarch Xianxia said. This is also the reason why I don't want to fall out with Lin Yi. Wang Xinyan can be replaced. Kong Mingming nodded. Right, among the inheritors, Tang Yun failed to advance. She's not a full circle yet. Failed. Patriarch Xianxia frowned after hearing this. He was a little unhappy. Only Shuegu's arts are troublesome. The other sects are quite normal. Only they came up with this heartless arts. It's really fucked up. Yeah, why don't we give her a chi gathering pill and advance? Kong Mingming asked. Recently, he was addicted to making chi gathering pills. Practice makes perfect, so the success rate was very high. No, there's a problem with Shuegu's arts. The chi gathering pill can only be used until the peak of Heaven Stage late phase. It doesn't work anymore. You can only cultivate by yourself. Patriarch Xianxia shook his head. You don't have to worry about it. I'll force them to think of a way as soon as possible. Okay. Kong Mingming nodded. Right, in this trial, are there any other participants who have a good relationship with Lin Yi? Patriarch Xianxia asked. No, it's that Xiao Ran. He seems to be a little hot-blooded, but it has nothing to do with Lin Yi. Kong Mingming said. That's good. I'm afraid that Lin Yi will form a gang. At the Heaven Stage meeting, I will give him the most painful blow. As long as there aren't too many people supporting him. Patriarch Xianxia said with a cold smile. Chapter 35-20. Patriarch Black Earth coughed and strode over. As for Kong Xiaoming, he followed closely behind. I heard that the performance of the trial challengers was very good, and the performance of the inheritors was also very good. However, there was a trial challenger who took the initiative to provoke others and was crippled and criticized. There's also an inheritor who failed to ascend to the Great Perfection realm and was also criticized. The elder said faintly, Zhang Naipeo, if you can't recover your chi and strength by the time of the Sky Class meeting, then the everyday sect will be disqualified from this trial, and Wang Xinyan will replace you. What? Pin Liang was shocked. Elder Xianxia, what do you mean? Our everyday sect is also one of the initiators of the Sky Class Island plan. What are you trying to do by kicking us out? I didn't say I was kicking you out, but if you can't recover, then there's nothing I can do. If you recover, then everything will be fine, the elder said. Pinliang took a deep breath. He was very angry, but the elder's words were reasonable. Who told Zhang Naipeo to be crippled? Tang Yun, if you can't break through to Sky Class perfection by the time of the Sky Class meeting, then Shueyu's right to participate and enter Sky Class Island will be disqualified. The elder continued, Tang Yun's position will be replaced by Ice Palace's Bingtang. Both of them are water elements. Although they're not exactly the same, they can still be used. At least, perfection will be stronger than non-perfection. Xueli's expression did not look too good either. This time, she came with dreams and pursuits. If Xueyu couldn't participate, then she could only return depressed. However, Tang Yun still had hope. After all, it wasn't the end of the trial before the Sky Class meeting. After saying that, the Black Earth Patriarch said slowly, apart from the people I mentioned, everyone has obtained the right to participate in the Heaven Grade meeting. But before that, everyone has obtained the right to participate. But before that, I will give everyone a holiday. If there's anything, go deal with it as soon as possible. Then, I will make an ancient announcement and summon everyone back for the Sky Class meeting. Zhang Naipeo, Tang Yun, this is your last chance. I hope you can grasp it. Don't let me down. All right, everyone can disperse. Kong Mingming walked over and said to everyone, however, those who are free can also stay in the 5 Elements Inn and wait for the news of the Heaven Rank meeting. The crowd dispersed. Lin Yi looked in the direction of the inheritor. He was a little worried about Tang Yun. Before, he couldn't remember Tang Yun, but now he remembered. Lin Yi wouldn't turn a blind eye to it. Tang Yun hadn't broken through to full mastery. Lin Yi had to think of a way for her. However, before Lin Yi could walk over, Sydney blocked Lin Yi's path. Young hero Lin, what are you doing? Please respect yourself and do what you promised me. Don't go back on your words. Tang Yun hasn't broken through to Sky Realm Great Circle yet. She can't acknowledge you yet. You misunderstood. Lin Yi shook his head and said, I don't want to acknowledge her or anything. I just want to see if there's anything I can help with. You know that I'm a Sky Realm Great Circle Master, and so are the people around me. In terms of breaking through to full mastery, I have some experience. So, we can discuss together and see if we can solve Tang Yun's problem. I see. Sydney hesitated after hearing Lin Yi's words. To be honest, she was a little tempted. After all, what Lin Yi said was the truth. He and the others were all Sky Realm Great Circle Masters, and they had a lot of experience in breaking through. And Lin Yi had come all the way from a lone practitioner to his current height. It was impossible to say that he didn't have some ability. So Sydney hesitated and said, I'll go back and think about it. You won't leave the inn for the time being, right? I won't leave. Lin Yi nodded. After he went back, he planned to first forge a Sky Realm Divine weapon. Then, he would go to the West Star Mountain Cave and open the stone door to see if there was anything good inside. However, the prerequisite was to forge a Sky Realm Divine weapon. And now that Lin Yi had the blood of the 5 Demons Dragon, everything was ready. He only needed to make a move. It didn't matter where he forged it. There was no one else in Lin Yi's house except for Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan. So, Lin Yi planned to stay in the inn for now. Okay. Sydney left and walked towards Tang Yun. Although Tang Yun really wanted to see Lin Yi, she resisted. When she was receiving the inheritance and resisting the pressure, Tang Yun tried very hard to forget about Lin Yi, but she still couldn't break through to the Sky Realm Great Circle. This made Tang Yun feel very regretful. To be honest, Tang Yun felt very guilty today. She was the hope of the Snow Valley, and Sydney's hope. If she couldn't successfully break through, then Sydney would have no chance with the Sky Realm Conference and the Sky Realm Island plan. After Sydney left, the other inheritors also walked far away. Lin Yi wanted to talk to them, but this didn't seem to be the place. He should wait until they returned to the inn. Lin Yi, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing returned to the inn together. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. At first, Lin Yi thought it was Sydney. He didn't expect her to think it through so quickly. When he opened the door, it was Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo. This surprised Lin Yi. Why were the two of them here? What do you mean? Are you here for revenge? Lin Yi looked at the two coldly and asked. That. Master Lin, can you let us in? I have something to discuss with you, Zhong Pingliang sighed. Pingliang said after a sigh. To be honest, begging Lin Yi wasn't his style, but there was no other way. This was the only thing he could do. You guys? You have something to discuss with me? Lin Yi looked at Zhong Pingliang strangely. I say, Zhong Pingliang, are you okay? Do you think we're still in school? Do we have any friendship to speak of? No matter what, our relationship was harmonious for a while, and I really have something to discuss with you today. Zhong Pingliang sighed. Say it, what is it? Lin Yi nodded and let the two into the room. Master Lin, I heard that you're quite good at healing and leveling people up. Could you help Nai Peo recover? Pingliang asked after some hesitation. That's right, Master Lin. I heard that you're quite good at healing and leveling people up. Chapter 35-21. Helping Zhang Nai Peo heal? How could he even think of that? No, young hero Lin, listen to me. Pingliang said, according to my understanding, other than the power of the 5 elements and 7 elements, there's also the presence of the 5 malice qi. Zhang Nai Peo's mission is to protect the inheritors and help them absorb the extra demonic qi. It's a very dangerous job, and there's a high chance of accidents. And now, the Xianxia elder wants Xinyan to help absorb it and take over Nai Peo's position. But do you really want someone with no experience to do this? I know what's going on with Xinyan. It's probably you who's helping her, right? Lin Yi was a little tempted by Pingliang's words. Pingliang was right. If it were Xinyan, Lin Yi wouldn't be at ease. Those inheritors had gone through the formal training of the sect. They had some experience. But Xinyan was different. She'd been forcefully strengthened by him, and had no battle experience at all. It wouldn't be good if something happened to her. But it was impossible for Lin Yi to use the art of dragon mastery on Nai Peo. 1. Lin Yi didn't dare focus all his attention on strengthening an enemy. And 2. Lin Yi didn't want him to know the secret of his practitioner's arts. And so Lin Yi nodded slowly. What you say makes sense, but it doesn't make sense at all. What do I get out of it? This is a fair trade. If you don't agree, then there's nothing I can do, Pingliang said. This is our chance and yours as well. All right, I admit that I've been convinced by your suggestion. Lin Yi didn't want Xinyan to take the risk, and so he turned around and reached into his luggage. 50 energy stones appeared in his hand, and Lin Yi put them on the coffee table in the room. Let Nai Peo take these energy stones back to train. With the help of the energy stones, with his cultivation speed, it should be easy for him to reach the mystic rank. Once he reaches the mystic rank, he can use the wasp absorption divine art to quickly absorb the energy from the energy stones. Even reaching the heaven rank great circle won't be a problem. Pingliang and Nai Peo were dumbfounded by the amount of energy stones Lin Yi had pulled out. This Lin Yi always carried energy stones with him. Why did he bring so many? However, regardless of why Lin Yi had energy stones with him, the main problem had been solved. With these energy stones, it wouldn't be hard for Nai Peo to break through to Sky Class full mastery again. Even if these energy stones weren't enough, Nai Peo was at Sky Class. Then, he would be able to absorb other people's physical strength and true chi at will. When the time came, he would find a disciple of the everyday and everyday sect to absorb first. At that thought, Pingliang and Nai Peo looked at each other, calming down. Well, I'll take it then. Pingliang hesitated for a moment before taking the energy stone. Don't be an idiot. Playing with that idiot Kong Ming Ming. Didn't you see how little 11 died? Lin Yi looked at Pingliang. Don't cause any trouble before Sky Class Island opens. Or don't blame me for not warning you. Don't worry, Master Lin, I know what to do. Pingliang took a deep breath. I can't thank you enough. Bring the stones back when you're done, Lin Yi reminded. Oh, okay. Pingliang didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do with the stones, but he still nodded. Pingliang and Nai Peo had achieved their goal, so naturally, they turned and left. Pingliang and Nai Peo left after accomplishing their goal. They knew that Lin Yi didn't really like them, and so they didn't plan on staying. After Pingliang left, Lin Yi frowned. Lin Yi frowned slightly. Helping Pingliang wasn't just for Xinyan's sake, but for the sake of the everyday and everyday sect. It was a good thing no matter what. The Xianxia ancestor was covering the sky with one hand, letting Pingliang, who owed him a favor, participate. If Xianxia was up to no good when they got to Sky-class Island, Pinliang could help at the critical moment. Not long after Pinliang left, someone knocked on Lin Yi's door again. Lin Yi opened the door and saw that it was Sydney. It seemed like she didn't have a good way to help Tang Yun break through, so she came to find Lin Yi. Master Lin, I've thought about it, and what you said makes sense. So, I want to invite you to the meeting room to discuss Elder Tang Yun's problem. The inheritors and young Master Tian Chan will also go with you. Let's brainstorm and think of a way to help Elder Tang Yun. Sydney said. Okay, when? Lin Yi asked. Nah. Sydney said. Okay, I'll go with you. Lin Yi nodded and left the room with Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing, following Sydney to the inn's meeting room. The meeting room was rented by Sydney from the inn. She said that it was to discuss Tang Yun's problem, so the inn naturally agreed. When Lin Yi and Sydney arrived at the meeting room, they found that the other inheritors and Tian Chan were already there. Tang Yun was also among them, and Lin Yi was the last to arrive. Obviously, Sydney called everyone, but not Lin Yi. She was afraid that they couldn't come up with a solution, so she called Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi didn't point it out. After all, Lin Yi understood Sydney's worries. Tang Yun was the hope of Snow Valley, and she was also afraid that Lin Yi and Tang Yun would rekindle their old feelings. Yao Yao, Shu, Xiaoning, Xiao Xiao, Xin Xin, Xiaojiu, Yun Yun and Tian Chan. Long time no see. Lin Yi took a deep breath and sat on the main seat in the meeting room. Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing also greeted everyone with a smile and found a place to sit. Hey, that's my seat. Sydney pointed at the main seat in the meeting room and said to Lin Yi. She was the initiator of the meeting, so naturally she sat on the main seat, but now it was occupied by Lin Yi. And Lin Yi ignored her. It was impossible that Lin Yi didn't have any opinions about Sydney, so he had to ignore her. Everyone's worried about Yun Yun, but Yun Yun hasn't broken through under the pressure of the 5 Demons Dragon's Cave. I think she'll either use the Qi amassing pill to break through to the Great Perfection Realm, or she'll break through in battle. If both don't work, I'm afraid we'll have to find the reason from her own mental cultivation method. Could it be that she can't cultivate the heartless formula to the Great Perfection Realm? Do you want to practice an invitation art? Lin Yi asked.